Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto becomes master in manipulation in Chunin exam part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. My hands go numb in the icy river as I scrub at my vest. But the stains are persistent. Perhaps because certain things could never be washed away. Then again, I lack modern detergent, or any sort of soap, for that matter. I don't dwell. Instead, my palms scrub harder, fingers pruned and pink from exertion and cold. The trees at the edge of the riverbank erupt. A flock of black birds make their exit, magpies. The catalyst for their flight is soon apparent, a white-winged hawk, sleek, fast, and trailing like a tempest. I watch as it banks straight toward the rear of the flock and gathers the quarry in a tight swathe. SHK. Two shuriken land on the shallow banks of the river, each several feet away in opposite directions. Only one is attached to a bird. The magpie has been slit neatly at its neck. Blood is already washing out in trickling eddies of red. Supper. I reach for the bird. That's when the glinting kunai comes hurtling from the opposite bank. A dull thunk indicates the hit, and a whooping sound emerges from the trees. Like a young deer, a lanky figure with dual-colored hair bounds from his shelter of thick, green foliage. He splashes through the river to first scoop up the fallen bird, then the half-scrubbed vest. As he holds the maroon vest up to his eyes to confirm the fan-shaped insignia, his gaze ghosts over the other red-brown smudges. Then, with something like conflicted pity in his eyes, he inspects the body that's fallen on the riverbank. The young man's dark eyes widen at the metal contraption that dangles from the pale face. The Uchiha even have this. He kneels to remove the glasses, careful to not step on the body. Maybe he does not want to rouse the ire of a dead girl. His fingers no sooner brush up against an ear when my kunai, it was his kunai, seconds ago, kisses the base of his throat. My bunshin, laid out at his feet, disappears in a puff of smoke. Very slowly, the boy looks up, his face sheet white. Why wouldn't it be? He's staring at the girl he thought he just killed. Now it's my turn to feel guilty. He looks no more than 12, a few years younger than me. I watch him fidget with my vest in his hands before dropping it to the mud when I nudge the kunai closer. I suppose I shouldn't threaten a mere boy, but I've been waiting for a chance to encounter another shinobi. Especially if he's who I think he is. Who are you? I prod more gently with the kunai, just enough to emphasize my, point. Why'd you try to kill me? He continues to gape, a bad sign. Did I break him? With average height and lanky limbs, I'm not considered intimidating, but then again, ninja in my era dealt with mutated clones and chakra-sucking aliens. But ninja in the Sengoku Jidai were supposed to be made of sterner stuff. Spit it out. Your name. Ayatama. What village? Village? His face looks like I've just said something incomprehensible. And I have. Old habits die hard. What clan? He sputters. I can't just, Onishi. History lessons only do so much. But I've still got basic interrogation training under my belt. You're lying, I say. In response, the so-identified Onishi Atama twiddles his thumbs, a daring but pointless display of nonchalance. It's also such a modern gesture that I fumble my next words. You called me an Uchiha. What's your beef with the Uchiha? Beef? Why do you want the Uchiha dead? I don't want anyone dead. I was trying to hit a bird. Your aim's not bad. I gesture to the shuriken by the bank, and then the other one that has been removed from the bird. Noting the trajectory of their fall, the two shuriken had collided mid-air. Also, I doubt I'm worth killing over one measly magpie. He remains silent, his face pinched. An errant thought flits to my brain, Inogen's face, when he's upset and trying to hide something. I catch myself before a familiar cascade of faces begins playing like some bad movie inside my head. So, why do you think I'm an Uchiha? I hum. Because I'm not. As planned, this draws a response out of him. Dark hair and eyes. Classic Uchiha features. There's almost steam erupting from his ears. And your Sharingan. What Sharingan? I don't show the Sharingan unless I have to. The first village I encountered, a farmer tried to kill himself when he saw my red eyes. Apparently, it means something synonymous with demon here, to ordinary folk. I've heard of it, I continue. But there's no way I have the Sharingan. Terrible eyesight. For emphasis, I tap my glasses, which Atama seems to acknowledge as an aid for poor vision. The fan. He grabs my maroon vest from the ground and shoves it close to my face as if it offends him. This is a symbol of the Uchiha clan. Ah. So that legacy lasted for several hundred years. I feel a wave of guilt again. Yes, I reply evenly. This vest's a pretty color, and functional, even if it's dirty. I picked that up near an abandoned camp upstream. As Exhibit 1, I point down to my ragged white chemise, which showcases hints of my ribcage and sports a stylistically torn midriff. I hadn't exactly come from a party when I arrived in this era, with no money, next to no equipment, and just the clothes off my back. Itama stares for several seconds, then seems to realize at what he was staring, and flushes an even deeper hue than before. You're lying. You're the one that's lying, I sigh. Giving me a false name. Itama's face gets all scrunched, like he expects me to kill him off on the spot. I remind myself that this era has different rules. But I can't bring myself to stick a kunai into the boy, even if he was willing to do that with me. Anyway, I'm Sarada. Hirano Sarada. How are you know? Itama says. His brain is spinning, I can tell, going through who that could be. He's never going to find it. That family doesn't enter the shinobi records until over 100 years pass. I don't wait for him to finish processing before springing the next thing. And you're Senju Itama, aren't you? What? The boy yelps, and it's all the confirmation I'll ever need. Don't worry. I'll keep it a secret if you want. Despite my assurance, Itama looks ready to bolt. Or fight me. But he knows by now that I'm older, and have better aim with pointy projectiles, even if he can't be sure that I am or am not an Uchiha. But overpowering him would accomplish nothing. He needs to take the bait. One more thing, Itama. That bird is my kill. Just wait a minute. Itama growls angrily. His frustration at his own slip-ups is mounting. Perhaps there's an inferiority complex in there somewhere. That I can work with. I look into his eyes, and with all the composure I possess from years of wrangling my teammates, I say, let's share it. The boy stares like a guppy, very still, the calm before a storm. But when he finally erupts, he's like a fizzing soda can that Chaochu has shaken one too many times. More noise than force. I don't share meals with strange kunoichi, he hisses. Especially not Uchiha. Haruno, I amend, saintly and patient. Itama's not gone and run away, not tried to stick another sharp object into me. This is looking up. So I decide to push my luck. Hey, why don't you take me to your clan? I came here to find work, so it'd be great to ally with the Senju clan. Ally? He scoffs. Think about it. If I really were an Uchiha, do you think I'd willingly wander into your camp? No, Itama says dubiously. Right. I would be going back to the Uchiha in that case. I smile. If you're not sure, you can tie me up when we're there. What use would a nobody hostage be? He's internalizing the Haruno bit. Good. You do kinda owe me, I cajole. How so? Itama glowers. But he picks up his feet and starts walking at a manageable, scuffling pace. I follow. Since you tried to kill me a moment ago, I point out. I failed though. My smile is genuine this time. It's as genuine as it'll ever be, after everything that's happened. You know, Itama, I say carefully. You remind me of a friend. Who? Perhaps he's trying to catch an Uchiha name. Still, I appreciate the question. There's no one here who knows the people from the future, obviously. But it's less lonely if I acknowledge those names. To show that it's happened. That I'm real. That this is not all some bad dream. I pause before I answer, giving one final glance at the riverbank as we walk further into the trees. My vest lays face up, its insignia muddied by the drifting silt. I can't see the stains from here. After a heartbeat, I turn to face forward again. The world of the Sengoku Jidai sprawls across the horizon. His name's Boruto. And he always had terrible excuses too. The history books were clear about one thing. The Senju and Uchiha had a complicated relationship. In the academy, this wasn't further elaborated. There were a lot of things that weren't elaborated. Our parents' generation wanted to expose us to the past, but gradually. As a bookish kid whose dad was away, and whose mom was always working at the hospital, I spent enough time in the library to do free reading on my own. The Uchiha clan was preeminent, said one book. At 7, I hadn't the foggiest clue what that meant. Then, in the parade of other history tomes, there appeared more negative, but still subtle, descriptors. Iron-hearted, astringent, pernicious, and adamantine. It was a fascinating vocabulary lesson for any kid, but especially for me. Imagine the last of your clan, at 7 years old, searching up the definitions for words describing how your ancestors were dangerous and dreary. As for the Senju clan, it was the catalyst for Konohagakure's founding. I knew of the unique properties of the Hashirama trees. I'd seen the Shodame's wood-style jutsu which led to Captain Yamoto's arthritis. The Nanodame slipped on the Godame's 30th birthday, after one too many shots of sake, that he'd personally spoken to the Shodame. It was mysterious. When I'd asked, Naruto-sama told me my papa had spoken to Lady Tsunade's grandfather more. I never learned if that was true, a metaphor, or just a lie. Too bad I can't ask now. Anyhow, this is kind of a big deal for me. Meeting the Senju, the to-be Shodame, fills my stomach with snake-butterfly hybrids. Neither a dreadful nor elated feeling. Once, I wanted to be Hokage. I still do. To meet the very first is an honor. But for now, I imagine it is best to keep my goals and my identity a secret. Once the Senju know that I mean no harm, perhaps the tenuous alliance between clans, between Senju and Uchiha, will develop naturally, as in my timeline. After an hour's travel, we meet the edge of the forest. A wide dirt road comes into view. It's evening, but there are no travelers in sight. No merchant caravans or ronin flashing their dojo conquests in large white banners, like I've seen a few times previously since I came here. Itama points at the path and explains, for my benefit, that road up ahead leads to a small trading village under a daimyo's protection. That's where your clan is? Itama pauses to look at me, seeming to acknowledge that I don't use his clan's name. I get it. Even on a deserted forest road, you don't know who's watching. The stigma of the Senju name is as potent as the Uchiha name. The boy nods. Yeah, but not everyone. My immediate family lives there. Some cousins too. That's fine. I want to meet the clan head, but even if he's not in this particular village, the Senju meet up regularly to plan their battles. I'm sure I'll be able to track down the current clan head and the future Shodame. Sooner or later. I'm still new to these parts. We leave the grass to step onto the dirt road. Are all shinobi organized by clans? According to books, local daimyo hire shinobi to take and protect territory from other warring factions. The shinobi hired frequently are known by a familial clan name. Over time, affiliations between daimyo and clans arise. Konoha Library only covered the big clans, where someone bothered to record the history. Certainly, no book had information on the semi-legendary clan I'm looking for. Not all are organized by clan, says Itama. I think the main ones are, at least under Fire Territory's strongest daimyo. The ninja that aren't are usually splintered branch families or even small groups, which decided to leave the main branch. It's not very orthodox. Itama says the word like someone else taught it to him. Like the Hyuga's main and branch family? Much changed after our parents' war ended. Boruto's mom married an outsider. The war hero and soon-to-be Hokage, yes, but an outsider. Stagier but no less orthodox Hyuga clan traditions needed to die, for Boruto and Himawari to exist. I can see why they would be around in this era, where clan affiliations are paramount. The topic of conversation makes me think of my own clan. My curiosity gets the better of me. Where do the Uchiha live? Itama's face darkens. Dunno. Not far enough. He mutters scum under his breath too, so I don't ask further. He's already doing me a huge favor in leading me to where his family is, which seems to indicate that Itama is either a fool, or has huge confidence in his family's ability to protect itself. I'm not intimidating, but Itama can tell I'm still a ninja, even if I've led him to believe I'm a foreign kunoichi who's just trying to find work and allies in Fire Territory. We walk in silence. Him, distracted by the idea of not making it home in time for dinner. Me, still musing about how I would introduce myself to Itama's family. I'm not the most personable. I'm Papa's daughter in that way. What's your home like? Itama asks. I ironed out my story best I could. But it's impossible to fact-check the region I picked when I picked it precisely because it's remote and unknowable. It's in the north, I say vaguely. Snows a lot there. There's a whole lot of different hair colors, more than here. Nearly everyone I've met here has black or dark brown hair. Itama cringes. Well, my hair's different enough. It looks cool. I his dichromatic mop. My mom has naturally pink hair. No way. Itama goggles. That's super lame. No, it's not. She's one of the best kunoichi around. I smile at the memory of Mama, who was always easy to spot in a crowd, or among the hospital staff when I went looking for her as a toddler. Pink is a difficult color to camouflage. Bet she has to perform henge all the time. Not all ninja have to go about it the same way. This is something I learned the hard way. Your hair has nothing to do with how great of a shinobi you can be. The boy flushes with pleasure. He must have had a strict upbringing. Itama mentioned he has brothers. I'll bet my last only pair, of socks that they're older and very accomplished. Mama told me about Uncle Itachi, and the stress it put on Papa when he was younger. The sky darkens to a point where we can barely see our noses in front of us. It's early spring, but still cold and dark enough that it could be mistaken for winter. I can light a fire, if you want, I say, although I'm worried that anyone traveling here could see it and attack. Paranoia is the ninja's greatest asset. Itama shakes his head. Nah, I know this road by heart. It's an hour more, tops. Half an hour if we hurry. Makes sense. Kids may be a lot more independent in the past, but Itama's still barely pubescent. More importantly, he's traveling by himself without any visible gear except a small pouch secured at his waist. He can't have been traveling too far away from home base. Why were you by that river today? Probably visited the same place as you did upstream, he says. He's probably talking about the spot where I told him I picked up my vest. The vest thing was a lie, but I did pass through town. The one with the inn? Yeah. Then he clams up. I have an idea of what Itama wanted from the inn. The same thing I wanted. Information. It's likely the Senju have contacts all over the area. Contacts they have to bribe once in a while. Contacts that will let them know should there be any unusual stirrings. No sooner does the thought finish than a whistling projectile shoot past my face. A stinging sensation ignites my cheek, then a razor edge presses into the cut. Trip wires. Stop moving and get down, I hiss, and Itama obeys. My thoughts are racing. Who's attacking? Can they see us in the dark? The night is cloudy and the air feels damp with fog. I can make out the visible outline of trees, hear the crackling of the underbrush, feel Itama's quickened breathing by my ear. But I can't see our attackers. A few more shooting projectiles shoot past overhead, and I can tell which ones hit their targeted trees on the other side. I've always practiced my shuriken throws late into the night, or early before the sun rises. The angles that they're being thrown at show that it's likely our assailants were in the tree branches to start, but that a few have now moved down to ground level. My breath held, I count the number of SHNKs I hear. 1, 2, 3, 4. I estimate 22 projectiles. That's 22 invisible blades that could cut us up should Itama and I try to move. Trip wires, I murmur to Itama. His slight frame quakes at my side, as he huddles face down into the dirt. I reach out to make sure he's breathing. At contact, my hands become sure, like a medic recognizing a patient. He's drenched in cold sweat. Besides needing him for my Senju introduction, I feel strangely protective of the boy. Sure, this isn't the most ideal of situations, but why is he so scared? Shouldn't he know defense strategies, if he's already being sent on errands almost a day's travel away? Itama, I mouth to him, pressing my face very close so that our attackers don't hear us. I hope we look like two bumps along the road, but it's any minute now, before we're discovered. Any second, if these guys can see in the dark. The moon overhead is clouded, thank goodness, but that too would pass. Snap out of it, Itama, I breathe. What's wrong? Kawarama. I don't know who Kawarama is, but if it's not these guys who want us dead, then it's the least of my concerns right now. Footsteps approach the road, the sound changing as they venture from grass to dirt road. Who are these guys? What are their techniques? I whisper fiercely. Itama's eyes are glazed, but he gasps out. Hagoromo clan. The name strikes fear into my own heart. I know that name. From where do I know that name? They ally with the Uchiha? And recently killed my brother Kawarama. With these wires, Itama confides shakily. Sweat is beginning to shine on his face. I realize the moon's back out. The moon. The Otsutsuki. The reason I'm here. Hagoromo. Otsutsuki. Otsutsuki Hagoromo? The phrase tickles my brain for some reason, like some half-formed clue. Like an icy slush that meanders through every capillary and fails to jolt all the neurons. Itama has given me something important. The Uchiha Alliance is a new piece of information. Do my own ancestors have a hand in bringing the downfall of all shinobi kind? I don't have time to think further on it now. The footsteps are alarmingly close, yet neither of us can stand without being cut into meat cubes or slices. Whatever the deadly arrangement, I prefer myself in one piece. Itama, I whisper. Close your eyes. He looks at me, confused. Trust me, I say. He's helpless right now, psychologically, trapped in the memories of his brother's death. I know how that feels. To be trapped in memory. Maybe that's why I'm doing this in front of Itama. Should he see me in a real battle, then my meeting with the Senju heads will likely never happen. But if this Hagoromo clan is a lead to the Otsutsuki, then I'm already halfway to my main goal. Eliminating every last one. I couldn't do it in the future. But I can try now. At the beginning, rather than the end. And keep them closed, I grit out. Finally, Itama shuts his eyes. Then my own start to bleed red. When Naruto and I were 12, we both wanted to save the world. Our declared methods, however, were different. First, I'd laid a child's claim to Hokage. Then on a daze overlooking the village from Hokage Monument, he said he wanted the supporting role. Our relationship had shed its skin and molted into something deeper. Unfortunately, Naruto proceeded to show his support in odd ways, calling me names, telling me I was too inflexible to get Jounin, pulling stupid, risky stunts on missions. And just once, when I pulled my own stunt and nearly died, he cried. That was the first time I felt, acutely, that missions have consequences for the ones left behind. It's ironic that I realized it only then. Mama and I had been living with the consequences of Papa's mission since before I was born. But because Papa had always been gone on a mission, I had not fully considered missions' after effects on those around me. That is, until Team Konohamaru voiced their opinions, Sensei, by hysterically nagging, Mitsuki, solemnly nodding, and Naruto, as noted, by sobbing. You don't want to see it, trust me. That can't be unseen. Itama is not my teammate. But he bears traits of Team Konohamaru, determined, foolish, compassionate. Most of all, this boy knows loss. One thing is clear in my mind. I don't want Senju Itama to die. And I sure as hell am not going to let him die by a clan potentially related to the Otsutsuki. My vision cuts through the fog, as my eyes glow incandescent. I'm glad I've chosen to help Itama. It's assuring that I can still care for people. Protect them. But it's not as if my eyes immediately render me superhuman. There's all sorts of common misconceptions about the Sharingan. For one, my eyes don't actually allow me to see in the dark. But I'll admit, it's as good as during shinobi battles. For figures. 3 adult men, 1 woman, judging by the size and shape of their chakra flows. Every spot they occupy is a place that has no trip wires. I chew my lip as I dissect what I know about their abilities. It's taken them this long to find Itama and me. Even if they have excellent memories, the dark, foggy night should require they be cautious about tripping on their own wires. Why do they move into the road so casually, if they can't see in the dark? I squint, and discover the reason. Threads of chakra weave across the road in thin silk threads, along every tripped wire, shining faintly as its pulse slid along the wires like electrical current. The enemy's chakra networks stand out in the inky night like the glowing neon signs around Konoha's Pachinko district. This is a great technique in terms of the advantages it would usually give them in battle. But in a battle against me, this means I've as good as won. Gingerly, I position my body slightly on top of Itama's. This is partly to shield him, and yes, I admit it, partly to make sure he doesn't peek and see me using the Sharingan, glowing in the night like the red-eyed demon he seems to think all Uchiha are. The clouds cover the moon and stars again. I strike. The kunai I'd kept from Itama's attack is in my palm. Maneuvering my hands along the cool dirt, I crawl away so that I'm not next to Itama, but stay very low so as not to cut myself on tripped wires. I don't want the trajectory of my toss to give away Itama's position. Once I'm 4 feet down the road, I prepare to lace my kunai with fire. Literally, fire. The cat pawn licks greedily over the kunai. I've wrapped the metal at the blunt end with a torn rag from my sock. The fabric's dirty and sweat-soaked and catches fire easily. Before the red and orange embers can travel to my fingers, I hurl the thing. The projectile moves like a hissing flare in the night. A tiny meteor shooting down the road, straight into the enemy's heart. The man who is my target stumbles. With my Sharingan, I see his flesh meet the first trip wire. Now if I'm correct, there it is. Instead of slicing the soft flesh and muscle, the trip wire collapses with the tension of his body falling against it. My hunch is right. These shinobi are wearing some sort of wire-resistant armor, as extra insurance. I watch as the wire sags, which in turn distorts the shape of the entire web network, bending and distending the other wires that weave through the trees across the road. Several intersecting wires grate together. 2 of them snap, right above Itama's head, which gives him the freedom to move. I'm no Shikamaru-sama, nor even Shikadai, but I'm a fair hand at battle analysis. There's other consequences to my action, though. The other 3 Hagoromo clan members know where I am, and they're rushing straight for me. Itama! Jump! I can only pray he hears, and has the capacity to follow. Because my next move is earth-shattering. It's not the ground underneath the enemy's feet that I'm after. Yes, the tremors along the road are impressive, and the Hagoromo shinobi halt their movements, as if frightened that a fissure will open up underneath. But I'm aiming for a different angle, so to speak. The trees on either side of the road must uproot, or at least tilt enough. It's difficult but not impossible to control the shockwaves from my punch, to forcefully twist the angle of the tree trunk. As the soil beneath rifts, the trees tilt, grudgingly, with groaning trunks and whispering foliage in the dark. Several more trip wires bend. Is it enough? The wires attached to the re-angled trees should tangle the enemy. Unfortunately, only one of them, the first one I made stumble, has crashed to the ground with a set of wires haphazardly around his torso and legs. The rest of the enemy have clued into the dangers posed by a prey-turned-predator. Who are you? Someone calls. Just give us the boy. We won't kill him like his brother. At least, not right away, another barks out a laugh. I see Itama's chakra spike. His circulating chakra system is tiny, compared to the other figures. In fact, these remaining 3 individuals are all easily twice my size. Hold on, Itama, I pray. It'll be done soon. The enemy may be talking smack, but they're also terrified. I see it in their chakra flow. They must still be confused as to how one punch can cause a localized earthquake. Once upon a time, I might have let these guys leave. But I have several reasons to keep them, today. I have nothing but my bare fists to fight with. I can't launch another punch without worrying about the ground beneath Itama's feet also giving way. But now that I've messed up the tripwire network, I can gather enough speed for hand-to-hand combat. Fight the enemy head-on. After all, years of sparring need some outlet, and I doubt any of these guys have the gentle fist technique, nor extendable arms. However, they do turn out to have other, more standard jutsu. Several bunshin appear in the dark. 50% of being a shinobi is the fundamentals. Stuff they teach you in the academy, perfected to Kage level, could make you a devastating opponent. So many don't bother with honing fundamentals anymore since the advent of ninjutsu technology. But Papa always believed in old-fashioned guts, even if he doesn't say it aloud, and no one could yet replicate Mama and Lady Tsunade's chakra control with tech. So I grew up indoctrinated about the fundamentals, while facing new age tools that replicated at least Jounin level strength. Therefore, I make several bunshin too. No simple copycat trick will win, but there's a key difference here. I can tell their bunshin apart perfectly. They can't with mine. I drive in with a vengeance, my feet hitting the road with minimal sound. Normally, other nin would flee. But the repositioned trip wires, their bunshin, and the absence of light, make them slow. Slow enough for me to practice my sparring kata on them. There's a reason the Hagoromo are allied with the Uchiha, and not against, I find out. My Sharingan puts them at a devastating disadvantage, both in detecting their offense and breaking through their defense. 1 down. His 3 bunshin pop. 2 down. 4 bunshin. The third's bunshin popped the minute he saw his comrades fall. I wait for him as he mourns for a brief, fleeting moment. But the pounding in my veins urges my hand across his shoulder, against his spine, and he crumples in on himself, like the rest. The fourth I need to keep the fourth alive. To interrogate. But when I turn around, I realize the man has opened the high collar of his armor and walked straight into his own wire. I hiss a rude word. Not because I've just witnessed the Hagoromo's last act of defiance, but because, at the other end of the road, Itama's staring straight at me with wide eyes. It's not the first time I've seen that haunted look. Nevertheless, it sends shivers up my spine, like I've been splashed, full body with a bucket of ice water. I stand stock still and wait for Itama to come near. Then I realize, he still can't see if there are any wires. I comprehend what a large amount of faith he's placed in me, during this fight. Huddling when I tell him to huddle. Jumping when I tell him to jump. And relying on a near stranger who he had first thought held ties to the Uchiha. Well, he was right about that one. Itama? I try. Simultaneously, I tamp down my expectations. But I don't make my Sharingan stop spinning. I know how I might look. The moon's out again, and everything under its glow gets shiny and soft. The trees are rustling even in their lopsided state. On the road, there's now 4 bodies strewn about. Even though it was quick, almost like an assassination, there's still blood on my hands. Metaphorically. I'm sorry for lying to you, I say, just loud enough so the breeze carries the words to him. Itama struggles. I see it in his chakra. I realize again that it matters to me what he thinks. He's the first to let me in. Let me follow him to his home, even. If we were both lying to each other, those lies were still sweet. To me, Itama's more than a provisional ally and less than a friend. If I were someone else, someone more loving, more sensitive, maybe I would know what to say. But I'm me. I'm here to survive. And I've done that. I will continue to do that, with or without Itama. After what feels like an age, I see his chakra settle. Can you see the wires? He calls from down the road, soft as a whisper. This is not an acceptance, but it's a truce. Yeah. My throat is dry. Yeah, I can. The enemy chakra lacing the wires is fading. Winks of it still glint like gossamer as soft moonlight peeks through the clouds. I avoid being spliced in two as I maneuver over to where Itama's standing. Together, we move past the rest of the wires that are still hanging onto the trees, like ghostly spider webs under the pale moon. I almost jump into the last dangling trip wire when Itama speaks. I hate that crescent moon. Kawurama died on a night like this. Again, his voice is so quiet. And again, I don't know what to say. I hate the moon too? Aliens from the moon came to kill all my friends? How do I say such a thing, without sounding like a complete loon? Although, being crazy may be the least of my worries. Being sane and dangerous and an Uchiha could be much worse. I try something comforting, like, sorry about your brother, but all I get out is, I don't want to see my loved ones' deaths anymore either. What happened? It's enough, with the lies. Itama will either help me or hurt me. But I'm tired of hurting myself. A clan no one knew existed killed them. I'm searching now for a lead. Itama sucks in a breath, but he continues trudging forward. They call themselves the Otsutsuki, I add. All I receive is silence. Finally. Who'd they kill? Your Uchiha family? Just one Uchiha. Papa. I swallow hard. As for the rest, they were all people I love, but they came from all different clans. All different? Yeah. My friends. But we're like a family, together. Itama's silent for a long, terrifying pause, and I turn away, so I don't see his face when he decides whether or not to trust me. In the distance, I can make out the faintest twinkling of light. Hearth fires, probably. If there's any time to shuck me, it's now. Itama's probably realized what a danger it is to bring me home. He's gonna end me here and now. He's shorter and smaller, but he has several more shuriken within easy reach in his pouch, which would do a number on my unprotected neck, just a foot away. You should meet my brother. I blink, confused. Oh, I see. Like Kawurama? In the afterlife? I wait for the shuriken in my neck. Hashirama, Itama finishes. My breath swoops out of my chest. Senju Hashirama. Itama hasn't physically attacked me, but the information's almost like a physical blow. I thought I'd lost my rare chance at the Otsutsuki lead with the Hagoromo. But now I get to meet the future Shodame Hokage. He's Itama's brother. This is more than I dreamed. If anyone can help me, it's the god of the shinobi. You think he'd see me? I have Uchiha blood. More importantly, I have Uchiha eyes. That can kill people and stuff. Itama nods stiffly. But his words are sincere. You saved me. Is that how it works? Because I was saving myself too. And I was trying to interrogate the Hagoromo for leads. I frown, bite my cheek. Anything to try to hide the smile blooming. Paranoia is a ninja's greatest asset, remember? Really? Yes, really. I'm agreeing also cause you say the same things as Hashirama. You guys should meet. Itama pauses again, as if weighing his words. He'd want to meet you. I can't believe this. Senju Hashirama. Maybe I get to meet Tobarama too? And the rest of Konoha's founding members? Will they be like the stories? I think, almost giddily. I quickly sober. If I recall correctly, most Senju didn't get along with Uchiha. Maybe something ticked someone off, historically. Maybe I can change that. I know it's big-headed of me. But unless I change something, history would just rewrite itself. And I know how that all ends. It's not pretty. As it turns out, Itama's idea of me meeting Hashirama is simply that, just Hashirama. It's not that Itama doesn't like me, or at least tolerate me, at this point. Rather, elder Senju clan members are dispersed between neighboring villages. As for Itama's father, the Senju patriarch himself, He is a busy man who's extremely hard to get an appointment with. So we start with Hashirama. But that's hardly easy booking either. Last night, we temporarily parted ways. Itama promised a surefire plan so no one in town gossips about the Senju heirs meeting a foreign girl. I guess people are gossips no matter the era. But how does this play into the meet-up scenario? I grumble. I'm swathed in a large pile of expensive-looking fabric. Anyone can see my resemblance with those dolls young girls get on their Hinamatsuri ceremonies. Except I'm the angry-faced doll that no one in their right mind would buy for their little girl. It does, Itama demurs. Just trust me. Carefully, so as not to disturb the seamstress' work, I raise one of my arms, encased in at least 10 layers of woven brocade. Once upon a time, I could afford this. After several failed housing leases, the Uchiho Harino household actually saved enough money to be well off. Papa's mission payment in government bonds also matured, and after that, we were rich. Not as wealthy as Boruto's family, and not touching the daimyo's son, but still enough to afford fancy, traditional clothes for the social occasions that we were obligated to attend. But I haven't a penny to my name, in this era. Plus, I doubt I'll be invited to any publicity-type social occasions. Is meeting Hashirama an extravagant, public affair? Doesn't seem like that would be good for either of us. We should stop wasting this nice merchant's time. But Itama's busy dictating the 3 dimensions of my rather sad lack of curves with alarming accuracy. The seamstress assistant is jotting them down, all smiles. She's probably getting a huge commission from this. When she finally goes into the back of the store to search for another bundle of fabric that's way out of my pay grade, my arm strikes out like a snake and hauls Itama in by his ear. He's kind of adorable as he gives an indignant squawk. Oh ouch! Uchiha scum! But there's no actual fury in his tone. Watch it! I hiss. We're in your territory, remember? Oops. He claps his hands over his mouth. You're brilliant, you know that? I let the sarcasm linger. His smug look comes back. Just trust me. He again parrots my instruction to him, the night before. This is all part of my brilliant idea. You can meet my brother and maybe even my dad without anyone getting suspicious. Then the elder seamstress arrives with a stack of needles, and we stop bickering. I'm not sure of Itama's notions, even if he is actually from this time period. In my era, a girl dressed in a formal kimono going to meet a man for the first time translates to lots and lots of family nosiness. Mama and Aunt Ino live for this kind of stuff. And I can imagine Chaochu and Himawari's faces, if they could see me wearing a freakin' princess outfit, going to meet Lady Tsunade's grandpa. The town around us is smaller than the village upstream. Still, this place is sizable for something in this era. Last night, I stayed at the inn with a couple of coins I borrowed from Itama. I now owe him more than I can repay. I would only continue to be in debt if this meeting with his brother actually came through. Which it must. I've been rehearsing my lines all night. Say something casual, Sarada, don't start off with eliminating the Otsutsuki. Tell him a compliment that doesn't reveal he gets promoted to god status in later history, etc. Itama had found me again this morning, and, after shoving a dawimanju at me, we went to our first stop. To my surprise, it was the seamstress, a dainty little shop located in the nicest part of town. Sturdy wooden pillars frame the entrance to all the shops on this street. There are conspicuous restaurants and tea houses next door. Maybe I would meet Hashirama in one of those. How am I going to pay for this? I ask Itama as the elderly seamstress starts sewing with gusto. I've already borrowed money from you. I told you, this is all thanks for saving me. Despite the boy's gracious words, I can tell he's enjoying watching me get flustered as I'm pricked with needles. Multiple times. The seamstress is a nice enough old lady, but her eyesight's going, and I think I'd prefer the assistant, even if it means she has to giggle and coo at everything Itama says. Okay, but this? I hold up a silky sleeve again. You would think I'm strange, getting insulted by this gorgeous outfit. I know my old clothes were all ripped, but wasn't this too much of an upgrade? Actually, Itama says, grinning. This town has several businesses which are under Senju protection. We're hired for our services, and they give you free merchandise, I finish, as it clicks. No wonder the octogenarian seamstress had bowed to a little kid less a fifth her age, when we'd entered. And no wonder she and her assistant were really pulling out all the stops, to make sure I looked like a freaking daimyo's daughter, and not the impoverished time traveler that I am. Yup. We always try to make it an even exchange, though. Itama bounces on his feet, weaving around me as if examining a piece of merchandise. He makes approving sounds. Besides, no one really uses this shop for anything fancy since Mom died. Now I feel a bit sad, but Itama seems well adjusted enough. I guess people in this era are tough. Another prick interrupts my thoughts, this time to the soft inside of my knee. I channel some Chaochu in my nosiness. Don't your brothers need this for their wives or something? They're not married. Itama cocks his head quizzically. Why? You wanna marry one? I sputter, and nearly kick the poor old woman trying to hem my dress. You're you know what, so I gotta say it's unlikely, Itama assesses matter-of-factly. Hashirama's a weirdo, but Tobirama definitely won't elope for you. But don't worry. He chirps at the end. I still like you. There's so many veiled insults slipped in there I don't know which one to process. You know what? I almost laugh. It's like Itama wants to trumpet to the world that I've got some sort of contagious leprosy. Maybe I do. It's a leprosy that makes your eyes go red with 3 tomo. Finally, my dress is fully hemmed and fitted. Apprehensive, I allow myself one test twirl. Thankfully, I'm not at risk of tripping over myself as I walk, kunoichi poise be damned. The outer layer of silk is a deep maroon, rather like my vest, and the inner haori is the color of a mountaintop night sky, flecked with bits of gold thread. All in all, way too high class for me. Tell me again why you think this will work, I say dubiously. Only the wealthiest patrons can get the private booth in the tea house where I'm taking you and bro everywhere else is public, and that's where shinobi used to gather intel from unsuspecting passerby. It makes sense. I can hardly expect the past to be an egalitarian paradise when my era was no better. No one raises an eyebrow when the wealthiest mingle with the strongest shinobi. People may look for a spell, but then they dismiss it as the same old. Daimyo's children cavorting with the Hokages. Some things don't change with time. But surely, there can't be crowds of powerful shinobi holding meetings in tea houses all the time. Where do you and your brothers usually go? Itama gives me a look that speaks plainly. Do you even need to ask? Your clan's own houses, I whisper, realizing as soon as I'd asked. Yes. Itama nods. And that's invite only. A feeble kowtow is the best I can muster to the elderly seamstress while I'm in my 30-pound mound of fabric. Then I follow Itama out the door. Our destination is the tea shop a few buildings down. Now, I can see that Itama has indeed planned this meticulously. Everything is located within a short walking distance, to minimize the time that I can be seen, but also show me off enough so that people will think a wealthy patron has come to request admission. Those who don't want to disturb the most powerful in the land naturally veer their eyes away from my face, looking instead at the ornate brocade of my sleeve. There's no hinge in the world that can replicate the swish of smooth cloth, the rumple of colorful silk layers. Real wealth is not something a poor shinobi can easily duplicate, or else shinobi would be known as the richest in the land. We're not. We're just hired hands. Although the senju may be more than that, in this era. It's hard not to notice this town's orderliness, its happy and well-fed populace. Though smaller than the previous town I visited in terms of the number of business, there's a unique sense of peace here. I realize I haven't seen a single beggar in the streets. There are no impoverished farmers, come to ask for work after his harvest failed. A passerby wheeling a cart full of what look to be giant sake jugs seems to recognize the senju boy, and they wave at each other. Does your clan run this town? I ask Itama, who's doing a jaunty walk downtown. Or are you chummy with the village leader? Oh, Itama says, like he forgot a trifle. The village leader is my dad. Before I start thinking that Hashirama's wrongly credited with starting hidden villages, Itama explains. A number of elders vote, in a council, and elect a chairman each year. Every 3 years or so, it's a member of the Senju clan. There are rumors that in another 3 years, it will be Hashirama. He must have quite a reputation then, your brother. He's well loved, Itama says proudly. But impulsive. So they're not letting him take over yet, even though he's been of age for a year now. When are you considered of age? 17. So Senju Hashirama is about 2 years my senior. I turn 16 soon, when spring first starts to show. Young Master Itama. Both Itama and I turn. It's the seamstress assistant, running over with a scroll in her hand. I forgot to give you this. She puffs when she catches up, and puts the scroll in Itama's hand. It's a message from your brother. Itama gives it a once-over. I notice he's suspicious about these things, even in his own village. Maybe this place is not as safe and insular as I thought. Slowly, Itama's fingers peel back the parchment. Then he turns to me. It's not anything big, but it is urgent. Itama digs into his pouch and gives me a whole ingot worth of money. I've learned to recognize the currency. This would buy a month's worth of grain. Before I protest, he silences me with a wag of his pointer finger. Go and get private suite number 3 in that inn on the corner. Everything should be arranged on his end, he instructs meaningfully. His eyes dart from me to the assistant, who's waiting silently. I reassess her. Rigid, pulled back hair. Slender, pale hands. Calloused in more ways than I've seen ordinary sewing aficionados in my era. Maybe she, like much else in this village, is more than she seems. Itama finishes in clipped tones. Ask for Kawato-san. You're seriously going to leave me here? That's what I want to say, but I don't. I've been left alone many times throughout my life. I'm used to handling things on my own. Okay, I say. Just come back soon. I stand there in the middle of the slightly muddy road, in my gorgeous kimono paid by a little boy and his rich-ass family, wondering what on earth that was about. Several passerby start staring at me longer than I would like. So I hike up my skirts, and do the world's most unladylike march the rest of the way to the tea shop. On the outside, the tea shop is a drab but sturdy 4-story thing with solid wooden planks and some tough paint and lacquer, made to withstand the elements. There are lanterns hanging from the wooden trellises that are made of crepe-like paper. The red bulbous things remind me of the New Year's festivals back in Konoha, my time. Beyond that, this tea shop is austere, with no-nonsense uniform shingles that look able to withstand a hurricane. But from the inside, this place is the most elaborate building I've ever seen. In any era. All 5 senses are invaded, with my nose as the first target. The whole place smells like incense, thick and heady. The pungent smoky smell hits my nostrils and travels straight through my system, before I'm accosted by another, sharper citrus scent. Perfume. I look down at the source, a tiny, pixie-like woman. The woman could be anywhere from 20 years old to 50. She's got severe gray streaks in her hair but an angular face with alabaster skin. My sandaled feet skip back before I accidentally step on her. She shuffles over to a tall reception table piled with jade and gold items that look too expensive to be suitable for display at the public entrance. Name? Sweet? This is a no-nonsense establishment. I like that. Itama, I offer, because that's what Itama told me to say. Private Suite 3. 4? Kawato-san, I say mechanically. Nothing about her stony expression changes. Uncertainly, I plunk down on the reception desk the ingot Itama gave me. It's kind of sweaty, because walking in this kimono turns out to be hard work. When I offer nothing else, the woman finally looks me over. Her eyes are quick and darting. They assess the outfit I'm in, then my face, as if all my secrets were written in my skin. Well, in this era, it probably is. I'm suddenly grateful to my mother for all the years she forced me to wear sunscreen outside. Skin cancer aside, an even complexion is serving me well, to pass as a wealthy noble person in the Sengoku Jidai. Lord Kawato, the pixie woman demurs, her severe head of hair bobbing in my line of vision as she shuffles daintily away from the reception area. I follow, her 5 minuscule steps to 2 of my own, and this seems to be the right move, since not one of the elaborately robed figures on the ground floor leaps up to stop me with a saber, dagger, or something equally kitschy in character. My classmate Samayer and I watched a lot of period drama movies during our academy years. This seems like the kind of place where old antiques can be taken off the walls and thrown as weapons. As I follow, I wonder who Kawato-san is. Maybe Kawato-san is Hashirama. The heart-pounding restarts. We move up the stairs. The steps creak like a public service announcement until we arrive on the ones leading to the topmost floor. Then, they're as silent as a whisper. There's no creaking at all, which is eerie since the pixie woman also moves with the quiet finesse of an experienced ninja. Everything about the ambience up here is muffled and secretive. Here you are. The wooden door in front of us bears a tiny wooden placard with the suite number. I recognize this wooden grain as Hashirama bark, which makes me all the more nervous. Did Itama lead me to some shinobi nest, where everyone was actually a Senju affiliate more than capable of killing me with the wooden surroundings? Do I go in now? I had expected her to usher me in. Do what you want, she says cryptically, and shuffles away. I've been through numerous tests in my life. Some of them involve unfair twists, where docile things like teapots and bonbons were actually instruments of torture that you had to avoid to save your head and your grade point average. So it's ingrained in me that you don't open doors unless you know what's behind them. Still, I see no other option, so I knock. No answer. I inch up to the side of the wall, almost hugging it with my back. Then, the tips of my fingers creak open the door. There's another sliding screen of thin paper, so I push that aside as well, and then peek inside with the side of my head pressed to the door frame. One wrong move, 1 inch too far, and I'm dead. The room is empty. I breathe a sigh of relief and enter. Now I can go ahead and lay booby traps all over the room, for the next visitor. Doesn't matter that it's Hashirama who's supposed to come, and I'm supposed to play nice. This is a dangerous place, where all the locals seem well versed in shinobi protocol. If I'm to prove myself, the first step is defending myself. Shuffling around the room, I search for places behind ornate silk cushions and sliding tatami mats where I can prepare a defense. Here, my beautiful clothes fit right in. I understand more and more why Atama decided to put me in these clothes. If I had worn my previous garb, I would be devastatingly out of place, not fit to even pose as a servant. Unfortunately, underneath all the lavish fabric, I'm still kunai and shuriken-less. I really do start contemplating breaking off a sharp piece of jade, or some other pointy ornamental decor attached to the wall or furniture. There's a winking portrait of a pig on the far wall, overlaid with pink-hued mother of pearl, that has little spiky studs along the borders, for some reason. But I figure I shouldn't cost Atama another ingot to pay for replacements. The tatami mat in the far right corner slides away, and I move it next to a large pile of cushions. There's a bump on the floor, where a dagger or short sword heel seems to fit into the notch. There's no dagger there now. Feeling empty, I replace the tatami and settle in to wait. I rehearse my lines from last night. What should I say, to the god of shinobi? Part of me wishes Atama would come back before Hashirama shows. What's in the scroll that seamstress assistant was carrying? A mission? Or his father, scolding him for being late getting back last night? None of the options really match, and I stop the pointless guessing game. I'm staring absently into the placid face of the pearl pig when a knock interrupts my thoughts. The shoji screen is strategically closed again, so I'll be able to see a silhouette beforehand. Come in, I call. There's a long pause. Perhaps Hashirama is a gentleman. Or he's expecting me to go and open the door for him. Fat chance. I have no dagger and no will to expose myself in a nest full of disguised shinobi. I wouldn't have opened the door even if I were expecting my own father. The door is silent as it swings inward, just like the fourth floor stairs. I imagine the face I've seen all my life. The first one from the left, on Hokage Monument. No one ever thinks they'll meet the one starting left of Lady Tsunade, the Go Dame. I steel myself because the heart pounding has started again. Would he help me? Would I need to explain to him what happened to Konoha? The paper screen slides. Hein? This man does not resemble Hokage Monument's Senju Hashirama in the slightest. I've heard artists and sculptors take liberties, but he has short, scruffy hair the color of the paper lanterns outside. He's wide in girth and tall, with placid, hazel-gray eyes. I'm reminded of a large mountain cat that's gotten lazy and old. He called me princess. Why? I shuffle back toward the cushions and assume a demure pose. You are? I ask, trying to keep the pinch from my voice. Kawato, he answers curtly, never meeting my eyes as he scans everywhere else. In the next second, he's hauling me to my feet, his fingers grasping roughly at my chin as he inspects my face. Is this the skin test again? Am I passable? Kawato-san, don't. I never finish, as his other hand yanks down on the shoulder of my kimono. Is this really a tea shop? I know nothing about the past, I realize. As my head spins, doubt creeps into my heart about Atama's goodwill toward me. Is this about payment? My eyes glaze over, seeing everything and nothing, watching the fancy pearl pig watch me, and then, all I see is red. Kawato's body is heavy and his heart beats against mine like a war drum. Then his heart stops. So does mine. For a moment, I unclench my fist from its burrow deep in Kawato's gut. Because my eyes see red again, in a totally different way. Papa? I choke out, because if this is a memory, another symptom, it's too cruel. I feel something wet on my cheek. The next second passes, and the spell is broken for me. The spinning red eyes at the door are like Papa's non-Rinnegan eye. Nothing else but the hair and eye color resembles Papa. Nor does this man resemble Hashirama, except for the silhouette of long hair and broad shoulders. The second visitor lets the broken end of the jade wall ornament drop from his fingers. Its other tip is embedded deep into Kawato's back. So you're her. His voice is terse and commanding, with a sullenness I know all too well. It's a quality Mama always teased me about, and told me belongs to all of my clan. I never thought I would confirm it beyond Papa and myself, but it seems the day has come quicker than I could have ever expected. My second visitor is an Uchiha. There are two ways to die, unconscious, or going down fighting. The rest are just derivative. The Uchiha man sweeps into the room, kicking Kawato's limp body away with detached efficiency. I shift my weight and prepare to introduce myself. Suddenly, his arm loops around me, silk, brocade, and all. I'm not a substantial person, but I'm not a wisp either, especially with the heavy layers of cloth. Yet he holds me under the crook of his arm as if I weighed no more than a feather. Well, I'm not going to be a cooperative feather. The quick succession of events makes my heart thud in my ears. Or maybe that's the blood rushing to my head, as I struggle inside. Clansman or not, this is not the time for a reunion. I'm here to meet the future Shodame, and this is Senju territory. I can smell a conflict brewing, one that doesn't bode well for Konoha ever coming about. Here is the ultimate question: do I shout for help? On this particular scene? Two Uchiha festooned with a rich, dead man at their feet. No. The town would sooner lock us both up and write a murder mystery than ask for my testimony. I start civilly. Who are you? This is as civil as I can be, while dangled under someone's arm. Put me down. I hardly expect words to suffice, but this man gives even Papa's stoicism a run for its money. When my wriggling gets too fierce, he merely shifts me to his other arm. I stare at the tatame, perplexed as I continue to hover parallel in the air. Then I crane my neck. There must be some further clue here as to his identity. Something beyond dangerous, dreary, and an Uchiha. Now, I don't expect my ancestors to sit in a circle and sing Kumbaya, but I also don't want history books' accounts of the Uchiha to be completely accurate. The man sports clunky armor, the kind that's showcased in museums, covered in antiseptic orange light and valued at astronomical sums. Upon closer inspection, his armor looks dirty, unlike the money-fetching museum type. It's covered in tiny splotches of rust and blood. Could be my blood, too, soon enough. I assess the rest of his armor for chinks, find none, so I twist and clamp my fingers onto his boots. The hide of the boot is thick and rubbery, so it's hard to get purchase. Otherwise, I would have twisted his ankle already. As it is, I leave only some sad, dull scratches with my blunt nails that Atama didn't bother to beautify this morning. Why are you here? I sigh after my effort reaps little reward. You've got the wrong person. His mouth opens in slow, measured motion, lifting his resting scowl. I realize the Uchiha man is actually young. You're here to meet the Senju, are you not? I'm not. I am. His stony look is immovable. You're coming with me. Right, then. I do the only sensible thing a girl my age would do when accosted. I aim a kick to his crotch. And because I'm nice, I kick with less than full power. In case he's my ancestor. However, potential great-great-great Uchiha grandpapa doesn't seem to appreciate my magnanimity. Because, at this moment, he hurls us both out the window. Fine chakra control doesn't do much for certain kinds of defensive immunity. One example is defense against surprise attacks to the gut. When the Uchiha man crashes a punch to the pit of my stomach, I'm out cold. The next thing I register is that I'm bound to someone's back, moving at high speeds. I also register that I'm still wearing all my infinitesimal layers, because the breeze is nice against my stuffy collar. He could have at least left out the thickest layer, I think vaguely. Is this the chivalry that died before my era? Then I black out again. I dream. There's an Otsutsuki eye in front of my face. It looms wide and the palm connects with my face. I hear Boruto's shout of pain, and my lungs are suddenly on fire, as I try to call out to him. But I can't. I'm being sapped of all my energy. Why did I let them get away? From a sea of flames, I wake and see Papa's Rinnegan. Am I in the future? In the past? My eyes are wet, and I don't know if it's tears or blood that leaks out. A jolt. I wake for real this time. My whole body chafes when I try to move. I quickly realize I'm immobilized from the chin down, in sitting position. Thick cords of rope are twisted around me, on top of my heavy kimono. I'm like some ornately wrapped present. Only, who's the recipient? What portion of the room I can see is dim and sparse. I face a blank wall that looks to be made of wood and resin. I can't see any door, but I notice a draft from behind me. Then, like a suspense film, a face juts into my line of vision, the Uchiha abductor. Lunch, he intones. I'm hungry for more than food. A cold lump settles in my chest, and I force myself to drag my eyes to the man. Now that I'm not tucked under his armpit, I re-examine his face, his shaggy hair, made shaggier after the journey, and his eyes, now two black orbs that seem beyond his years. He has refined features, but a sharp expression that hint at years of battle. In stark contrast to his warrior aura, his right hand proffers a boiled, half-peeled potato of some sort. Eat. My stomach voices consent. But my pride does not. Temper flaring, I reassess my situation. I'm not eating anything from the hand of the man that knocked me unconscious and kidnapped me like I was a sack of those weird potatoes he's offering now. Grudgingly, pragmatism and reason cajole their way into my brain again. Besides hunger, I realize I am very thirsty. Water, I say. The abductor doesn't respond, merely leaves, and takes the potato with him. I feel an odd sense of loss, as the routine brisk breeze fans behind me. I imagine he's moved through a doorway without a second glance. What a welcome I'm getting from my own clan. I'm reevaluating my take on Konoha history books. Somewhere inside me, perhaps, I've held on to the childish thought that fellow Uchiha would be instantly likable, instantly recognizable. It's complicated. I wasn't prepared to meet family. And now that I have, my heart hurts. I hold to the highest standards, those I regard as my own. Papa. Mama. Myself. Kakashi-sama once chided me, saying this is a particularly dangerous strain of perfectionism. You're an Uchiha, all right, he'd said. To my astonishment, someone returns with a small clay cup full of lukewarm water. The air is chilly and dry here, so I'm impatient, barely taking a glance at who's feeding me. When the cup is lowered momentarily, I see dark eyes and spiky, unruly, raven hair. My mouth gets drier than before water. This time, I know it's not my mind playing tricks on me. It's like I'm seeing Papa's double, but also different. Younger, like in the old Team 7 photo Mama kept. I choke on my swallow. Is the Uchiha clan going to be full of these painfully familiar faces? Hey, take it easy, the lookalike says. Madara and I are responsible for keeping you alive. Alive is good. I parse through the rest of his words. So my kidnapper's name is Madara? Sounds familiar. But I'm woozy from fatigue and I don't want to think further. Who are you then? Besides Papa, there's also similarities in this man's face to Madara's. Brother? Right on, the man smiles. I'm Izuna. Sorry about the living conditions, Haim. If you're uncomfortable in that chair, just tell me. I'll bring cushions. Izuna the cushion bringer. I decide I can trust this man. With one piece of information, at least. One which his brother dismissed. Izuna, I'm not a princess. His face is calm, even gentle. Sorry, Haim, but you have the looks. Well, I'm not. And why am I tied up here? Izuna fiddles with the emptied cup before putting it down. You can't tell, but there's a battle going on outside right now. He holds up a hand, and I flinch automatically. But Izuna's holding another of those potato-like root vegetables. It looks suspiciously like the one I turned down from Madara. I nod to the food, because my body is now dangerously faint. Izuna begins to peel back the skin at the bottom. You're in a tent near the battleground, he explains. But we didn't want to alarm you right away. The Uchiha are amazing genjutsu artists. Even without Sharingan, I'm usually good at spotting some missing detail, something off, about a genjutsu. The wood wall in front of me looks sturdy and real. And then I realize, the draft behind my back. It's almost too drafty, for a real door. There's another breeze at my back. A woman with stern features crosses into my line of vision. She resembles Aunt Shizen, with longer hair. Lord Izuna, you're needed in battle. In a minute, Furumi, he says. She nods respectfully. As she's rushing out, I see a small short sword at her side. She practices kenjutsu? Do most Uchiha? I've always wanted to learn from Papa, but it's one of the things I didn't finish studying before I arrived here. There's another thing I figure out from the exchange between Izuna and Furumi. There's a tight hierarchy in this clan. Izuna is somewhere above Furumi. I would bet a Tama's gold ingot that Izuna's somewhere near the top, and Madara's up there as well, with his clunky armor. This still leaves the mystery of why I'm here at the battle at all. Why they sent a high-ranking officer to fetch me all the way from a Senju-affiliated tea shop. Am I a hostage? I say between big bites of the foreign potato. It's starchy and slightly sweet. And boiled to perfection, so no complaints, even while being fed like an infant. Yes, Izuna smiles cheerfully. You'll be very useful to us. I can't use my hands when they're bound to my side. Otherwise, I would dispel the genjutsu with a simple kai. The other option is to use my eyes. But do I trust Izuna that much? More information, I decide, can't hurt. Who's fighting the battle against you? Good question, he smiles. Various nobles from Fire Territory. We're funded by foreigners this time. This time? So you guys think I'm a Fire Territory noble? I ask. And you want to use me as a bargaining chip? Clever girl, Izuna says. The thing about making a living as ninja is that we can never be too careful. We can handle most clans. The opposing daimyo and his vassals know this, so they hire the senju to oppose us. And with the daimyo who need to face the senju, they will hire us. You thought I was gonna hire the Senju clan to fight you? He laughs at my incredulous face. Then I realize that he should laugh. I was dolled up at a fancy tea shop in a room with a man who called me Heim, at a place where such transactions occur regularly. You've got the wrong person, I repeat stalwartly. How can I prove it to you? No matter. We'll find out shortly. Izuna fingers a tassel on my kimono, his eyes hooded. Maybe you're a young, pretty mistress. You could stymie an old, balding fogey and his troops. A few dozen soldiers held back is plenty. His compliments and offer of cushions carry new meaning, now. The temperature in the room seems to drop. For all of Izuna's smiling face and patience in feeding me, this man is a dangerous shinobi who thinks I'm on the other side. He'll throw me to the sharks and feel good about it afterward, if it should help his clan. In a way, I prefer Madara, who made no niceties as he hauled me through the shattered window. I have something to show you, I say. Again, Izuna humors me with that gentle smile of his. Oh? Show me. The wood hut disappears. The tent around me becomes clear as day. I see the chakra building along Izuna's body, but more importantly, I see the silhouettes of figures waiting just outside the tent, their sandaled feet shifting slightly. Their sandals are different from Izuna's, Madara's, and that woman called Furumi, who all sported identical outfits except for the armor plates. Why your eyes? Izuna pales. But now's not the time. I need to make him understand. There's 3 figures outside. Check if they're Uchiha guards, I whisper urgently. I can tell he's been trained from a young age to handle unpredictable events in series. He silently and quickly swivels to check where my eyes snap, then turns back to me. Finally, Izuna slowly unsheathes the katana at his back. As he raises the sword above my head, I wonder if Konoha's books were even a bit too kind about the Uchiha. My ropes fall at my feet. I make no sudden movements. Now, Izuna's directing me with his eyes. Act natural. This is easier said than done. The shadows in our cramped space creep a little closer, and the hunch I have about the pineapple head silhouette I see against the flapping tent canvas turns into a full-blown image of Shikadai playing tag in the playground. He always won if it was after a certain time in the afternoon, when the shadows were longest. Walk away from the shadows, I breathe to Izuna. There's a new something highlighting his features toward me. I can tell he's still frazzled by my eyes. Walk out, I whisper. Izuna's still shaken as he follows me out. Who are you? His voice trembles, but he makes no move to inhibit me. I walk as leisurely as I can to the outside, to the front of the tent, hoping to not scare off any of the people who I think are infiltrators. I don't know what I'll do if I actually have to fight them. But when we arrive, they're already gone. Izuna's face falls, and he takes me by the shoulders, as if to retie me someplace. I have to stop him, fast. Look for people with different sandals, I say quickly. Hurry! You might still catch them. We will, he says, if a bit apologetically. But I can't let you loose by yourself. He marches me in the direction of a large tent. Now that I'm outside, I see the full brunt of the preparations near the battleground. It's so different, and yet so similar to everything I've known in my field missions. The uniform bunks. The couriers running about. The barked orders and dispatched troops. There's just one thing different. Whereas I was always the only one on my field missions with spinning red eyes, here there are groups of them. Not everyone. But definitely enough such that my eyes don't draw any second looks by the people that I pass. We enter the tent. Furumi, Izuna calls. The woman called Furumi is surrounded by stacks of scrolls piled high in a mountain of small cylinders. I wonder if it's correspondence, and she's in charge of communications, something that the Yamanaka usually did in Konoha, my time. There's other people in the tent too. None of them give me a second look, just like Furumi's reaction when she first came into my tent when I was tied up. It's strange how nonchalant everyone is. I wish I still wasn't wearing my ridiculous princess get-up. Everyone else is in battle uniforms. Watch her, says Izuna. I'm going to get a patrol together to do a security check. As I stare at Izuna's retreating figure, I'm reminded of Mama's efforts to pawn me off to Aunt Shizen when Mama's on for back-to-back shifts at the hospital. That was when I was 5 years old. Still, I feel as if I'm suddenly a little girl again, being assessed by the Uchiha for any naughtiness and ill behavior. Uchiha Furumi straightens from her scrolls. Her expression toward me is nothing like Shizen's kind face. Furumi's also probably a little younger, maybe early 40s. But people in this era aged and died faster, and I wonder if she's actually in her 30s. Still, that age makes her quite advanced. No wonder she's in this big tent, surrounded by a team of silent workers. You're the hostage? Her eyes flick to mine. Lord Izuna's charge. This part is not a question. At least she does know who I am. As a few other gazes flit over to me at Furumi's words, I begin to suspect that everyone is curious. What I mistook as apathy is just a symptom of their genetic poker face. The Uchiha resting bitch face, if you will. As hereditary as our Sharingan. Madara wanted a hostage, I say defiantly. But you have the wrong person. I say it because I have to fend for myself in a den of lions. Or, more accurately, a field of icebergs. But I can tell immediately that using Madara's name like that is going to get me ripped to shreds or sunk to the bottom of the ocean. Just don't get in the way. Furumi picks up another scroll like she doesn't care if I'm not a good hostage. Or if I have the Sharingan. Or if I'm her blood kin. This is mystifying. I approach another worker, one who looks to be about my age, with dark brown locks and a sharp chin. Maybe I can get some information from him, both about this battle and about the Uchiha clan in this time. Hello, I try. This guy's shuffling around beads on an abacus. Can I help? No. I'm good at calculations, I persist. What's this for? To check we got paid enough, he says without ever looking up. If they skimp us on our fees, it won't be pretty for them. I add miserly to my list of adjectives describing my ancestors. Or frugal. Actually, I'm not mad at this new Uchiha fact. Being the kid of someone who accidentally destroyed houses at the drop of a finger makes you realize money's not grown on trees. And besides, this is the age of ninja mercenaries. The rest of my conversations go similarly well. I find engaging the room in conversation tiring, at best. Utterly futile, at worst. The people in the tent withdraw as soon as they see me edge toward them. Like I'm some contagion. For all of his prejudice against the Uchiha, Senju Itama never treated me like this. I'm actually happy when a messy-haired courier bursts into the tent with a scroll. They've flooded the plain. The courier shouts. Furumi immediately straightens from her work. Report, Takeda? Sway done, says the courier Takeda. One of the clans specializes in battles on water. Our Katon unit has been rendered useless. Our best fighters with the Sharingan are now far outnumbered. I watched the exchange with clinical interest at first. Water jutsu, huh? Fireballs may have been the Uchiha signature traditionally, but Mama encouraged me to branch out. In the age of ninja tech, diversity is necessity. I've trained to never have to shrink against an elemental disadvantage. Wait. With this, maybe I can win the Uchiha's trust and my freedom. But I need to be shrewd. Furumi seems the type to take babysitting very seriously. I watch as her stern face gets a little sterner. Like Courier Takeda's scroll has personally offended her in some way. What sort of money do those fire vassals have to pay for so many soldiers? She says disgustedly. I vote we retreat to the trees, says Abacus Man. We can burn them there. Not enough will follow us, retorts another who's shuffling scroll paper. There'll be too many left in the flooded plain. I say we kill a few more and then just go. That slashes our pay more than half. Rather than devolve into a shouting match, like I've seen Konoha shinobi on field missions do, there ensues the world's scariest staring match. So I pipe in. What about we change the landscape? Drain the water? Clearly, I am not exercising good etiquette. Not in this hierarchical, orderly place. They all look at me like I've grown scales on my face, and then simultaneously look away. If this weren't so urgent, I would have laughed. Another figure bursts in, a second courier with a mailbag slung around her torso. We found infiltrators in the camp. What? One of the tent's worker gasps. I suspect she's somehow in charge of security, if her mask of nonchalance dropped so quickly. They ruined our food supply, continues the courier. What about our weapons? Furumi demands. We saved that in time. Then, the second courier looks nervously around the tent, as if searching for something. Or someone. Lord Izuna says I'm to thank his charge. Izuna's charge. Me. Everyone goes silent, but it's a different sort of silence than the kind before. You could cut the air in the tent with a kunai. The first to speak is Abacus Man, and it's clear he notices the shift in tension. I still think we should retreat to the trees, he says haltingly. Draining the water is time-consuming. But my idea to drain the flood is a good one. It can't be ignored. I can't be ignored. The Uchiha don't show on their faces the things they think are worth their time, I've noticed. They ignore and disparage. But secretly, they scrutinize. As I expected, the conversation steers back to my idea. What elemental jutsu could drain an entire battleground? Furumi says in clipped tones. We are on a grass plain, but we aren't Senjukurs, who make flowers dance around. Flowers dancing around is not how I would describe what would release jutsu does, but hey, I've only seen clinical demos. I explained to the people in the tent that it doesn't have to be an elemental jutsu. I've seen IWA Chunin devastate miles and miles of field with their earth jutsu. But I've seen my mother do the same to our backyard with her pinky. I tell them I can do the same. Slowly, everyone's face loses the disinterested masks. Good. They can't pretend to ignore me anymore. To them, I am utterly, bats hit insane. Or extremely powerful. And in the end, the margin of overlap between those two things is very high. Izuna shoots me a half smile. You okay? Fine. It's not entirely true. The first time I was put on the front lines, it was a simulation for new Chunin. In my era, the shinobi villages were at peace. Wars were localized, and where battles did occur, they were usually fought guerrilla style. But that day for Chunin training, the simulated front lines were an entirely new experience. I'd read about trench warfare before. I'd heard about troops marching to battle, not breaking ranks. But it's awful to experience. Still, a simulation's nothing compared to the real thing. There are no trenches here, thankfully. Wars in this era haven't gotten to that point. But there are people grappling, chasing each other, moving between the fallen, who are floating in the strange stale water. It's carnage on a scale I've never seen except for once in my life. In my other life. Before here. You don't have to push yourself to pretend you know, Izuna says. He's been briefed about my haphazard mission to drain the enormous field, and he's doubtful. You sure you're not someone's mistress? One of those foreigners, perhaps? He points to my glasses and gives them a playful flick. I've heard those eyeglasses are expensive. He's joking with me. My glasses are the only material mark of wealth left on me. I've changed out of the kimono and into a dark gray high-colored blouse with loose-fitting black pants. It's the standard battle attire of the Uchiha clan. They don't give me any of their armor plates, nor any weapons besides two chipped shuriken. I guess I haven't earned that status yet. Or they haven't fully accepted me as their own. I tell myself this doesn't matter, whether the Uchiha accept me fully. What good does armor do, against all this water, against a battle of over 100 shinobi on the other side? Right now, what my clan needs is not Uchiha Sasuke's daughter, but Haruno Sakura's daughter. Except Izuna's different. Since I showed him my Sharingan, he's shown consideration in a deeper way than his offer to bring cushions. In a way, he's the ultimate testament to this era's clan mentality. I'll open up a path for you. Izuna shrugs on the strap attaching his polished katana. I shiver at his tone. There's no fear, no trepidation in it. It's as if Izuna thinks himself invincible, or, alternatively, dispensable. The execution of a simple plan is nevertheless startling to watch. I wouldn't have been able to follow Izuna's movements if my eyes weren't in Sharingan mode. The Uchiha's strides are as fluid as the liquid underneath them. I see his sauls dance along the water, his katana parrying any that oppose him. Enemies rise out of the water like sea serpents, but he cuts through with something that can only be described as an innate gracefulness. I follow before the path Izuna's carved closes up. Chakra pumps to my toes, just enough to propel me forward, like a dancer, while conserving energy for my next action. Several pairs of red eyes follow me, assessing my movements. Assessing me. Good. If the Uchiha think I'm crazy now, they haven't seen anything yet. Sha'unaro. My fist explodes the water. The rippling splash is deafening as a watery orb envelopes me on all four sides. The waves launch up like a dome, exposing the foundation of bare earth. In the split-second differential, my second fist hits the ground. Locating the tension point in a single vein of sediment is difficult. But I've been trained to target capillaries and nerve endings, helping Mama. The fissure starts slow. It starts as a tiny crack in the soft crust of the earth, then, a splintering line forms into the dry sediment beneath, deep and dark and thin. The water churns, begins to seep, as in a mug that's developed a crack. At first, a trickle, then as the water pressure bears on the fissuring crevice, the gushing water splits the earth. Some areas are patched by mud, but where the earth is loose enough to crumble underneath, my punches have created a sinkhole like a blade's edge. I'm not done, however. The Uchiha clan must come to accept me. It's not so much for my own sake as it is for the next few steps of shinobi and Konoha history. Katon! An inferno is traditional Uchiha fare. From my circled fingers issues a spectacular flaming ball, so big it can be seen for miles. Normally, a ball of this size is more for show than function. But the show here is the function. As I angle it toward the sky, the flaming inferno creates a distraction, in this moment. Enough for the Uchiha clan fighters to regain the flow of the battle. But the opposing side's not the only distracted party. Izuna has turned back to stare. The shock is evident in the way his katana stills, and his arms lose tension. His opponent, a large muscular figure with sallow skin and dripping hair, stops and gapes as if he's seen a monster. As for me, I'm still drenched from head to toe, ever since my first punch. And after my fireball show, I'm steaming from my pores. My hair clings to my face. My glasses become a hindrance as they fog up and condensate in turns. I take them off and wipe the water from my face, glaring at the blurred world around me. As Izuna would tell me later that day, that move alone scared his opponent shitless. My eyes, Izuna would say, seem to blaze with something not of this earth. That's not far off from the truth. I'm not of this place. But I don't tell Izuna that. He doesn't need to know all my secrets just yet. There's someone else in line for secrets, though. For the rest of the battle, that someone surveys me just as I survey my handiwork. Uchiha Madara's red eyes never stop spinning in my direction. As the saying goes, you can win the battle but lose the war. We've won the battle. Now, the Uchiha are primed for me to help them win the war. But I don't know if I want to win this war, one waged at infinitum against the other clans, especially Senju. Winning their war means that I lose mine. I pretend to be engrossed in the view, as I trudge onward. The sky outside is dappled with pinks and purples, the clouds like cotton candy wisps, as the early spring's dusk settles as a cool blanket. Mostly, I stare at the view as an excuse to avoid conversation. The Uchiha clan members have taken a new approach to me now that they've seen what I can do. If there were any prior misgivings about the purity of my allegiance and lineage, that's now an afterthought. I'm jostled into the middle of the march of glory. Of victorious men and women, coming home from battle. The huts and small shops that we pass eventually make way for bigger buildings. From large, elaborately painted structures, townsfolk wave from intricate window frames. There's smaller residences, too. People cluster at their front porches with family members, stringing colorful flags up on poles to show congratulations. I spot a few scarlet and white fan insignias on banners, but none on people. Villagers gush onto public roads to catch a glimpse of us, the returning troops, in uniform. They crowd around bridges, their reflections in the water wave seemingly endlessly at us. No one runs up to hug or touch. Briefly, I wonder where the other Uchiha are. Surprised at the reception? Says a voice beside me. You're quite popular, I reply stiffly. Even if I'm no longer a hostage, Izuna is still my official guard. Not that he treats this job seriously, anymore. He turns to smile gently at the gaggle of gushing girls as our victorious procession marches past. They screech their undying love and nearly upend my eardrums. Izuna leans closer to me with a conspirator's grin. They're stupid. And you're mean. I'm not mean, he chuckles, teeth gleaming in the winking sunset. I'm telling the truth. They see only what's on the outside. Those girls wouldn't last a day as an Uchiha's partner. An Uchiha's partner, huh? I think of Mama, of her love and resilience. Then I banish the thought, because it makes me sad and sentimental. Instead, I swivel back to peer at the line of persistent village girls, which stretches on impressively, almost into the horizon. Well, they look pretty determined. If you're not careful, you'll be tying the knot soon. As if, Izuna scoffs. Most are after Madara. Ha, I say. I do doubt that anyone could last a day as your brother's partner. There's a brief lull as we turn the bend. Rows and rows of hedges border the road. A tall gate looms in front of the road leading to those green walls. Carved into the gate is a familiar emblem, a fan. I'm sure that I'm gaping, because I've never imagined what the Uchiha compound could have looked like, before Papa's time. Something inside me swells. Besides, Izuna looks at my reaction thoughtfully. Those girls aren't like you. I immediately go back to staring at the sunset. The bathhouse is one of the few places in this village where I can find time alone. Everywhere else, it's either Uchiha members trying to discuss battle tactics with me, or villagers trying to get a peek at the girl who cracked open the underworld with her pinky. It's so over the top. I spent the first night in town with a large sash wrapped around my head. But the lure of cleanliness was too strong to resist. I can't keep the disguise on as I wash my hair this morning. You're too tense. The unexpected arrival makes me stiffen. I turn around to see who's come. Surprise and discomfort twist my insides. Uchiha Furumi, the severe field commander, goes to the public baths in the morning. The kunoichi is in the midst of dumping ice water on herself like it's nothing. Figures. She probably needs to stay cold, or she'll melt. Of course I'm tense, I reply as I go back to scrubbing my arms fiercely. You all acted like I didn't exist, and suddenly, everyone wants to talk. When I say everyone, I mean it. I have meetings back to back with the Uchiha clan elders. After my bath, I'm due at the clan's central meeting house, which is located somewhere in the meandering hedge maze that also envelopes my guest lodgings. There's no reply, but the splashing stops. I glance over and see Furumi's already briskly drying off, her face thoughtful. Maybe we judge others too quickly, she says. But please do not judge us too quickly either. How can I not judge, when I'm making choices stringing together a future between the life and death of shinobi kind? My frustration flares, but I force it to a simmer, splashing cold droplets onto my scalp and face. I am too tense. I reach for my towel to dry off, but my hand meets a small, waxy lump in its place. Soap. Furumi has gifted me with soap. In this era, it's a luxury. For a no-nonsense woman, I cannot believe she would own any for herself, much less gift it to a near stranger like me. Maybe it's her way of saying thank you. Or making sure I don't stink up the room when I'm meeting the clan leaders. I swallow the soap-sized lump in my throat. And maybe I am too quick to judge. I walk out of the bathhouse in muted silence. Once again, I'd been dressed by a rich young master. This time, it's not Atama, but Izuna, who apparently instructed his younger girl cousin to lay out my wardrobe this morning. Besides my grimy battle uniform, it was the only thing available when I woke in the guest room. The simple kosode is made of a navy linen, with a red sash tie around the middle. The only embellishment is the shape of a fan, embroidered on the back. I don't read too much into why this has been given to me. The open streets of this town are lined with various stalls serving scallion flatbread and other breakfast foods. Judging by this, I have a bit of time before my first meeting with the Uchiha elders. My feet naturally gravitate toward a particularly lovely scent, sizzling twists of dough, dipped in vats of oil. Ninja field rations in my time were never glamorous. But persistent hunger is a new phenomenon, one that only started in this era. I reach the stall and feast my eyes on the extravagant food. I don't have the money to feast for real. Miss Uchiha girl. An elderly man sitting on a public bench nearby waves to me. His enthusiastic, flapping palm motions me over. I see he has a shogi board laid out on his lap, but no one to play with. A game, miss? He smiles, his chipped teeth on full display as he beams up at me. I smile tentatively, and sit down. It feels like eons since I've played games. I tell myself to relax, to enjoy thinking through my moves without placing any consequences on it. Slowly, the tension releases from my shoulders, then my hands as I position my pieces. I'm 4 moves away from checkmate, I think? I'm not Shikadai, when a familiar voice interrupts my strategizing. You're blending right in, Haim. I told you, I'm not a princess. I don't turn to the newcomer as I reposition my foot soldier piece. Your move, Genkai-san. Don't be like that, Izuna chuckles. Haim or not, your given name is so strange. Sarada's not strange, I frown. Who is your Uchiha relation? No relative I know would name their kid that. Part of me wishes I could ignore him forever, but I know Izuna's here to do more than tease me. The morning has wore on, and people are transitioning to their midday routines. Delivery men shuttling back onto the road, shopkeepers in the thick of publicizing and bargaining over their wares. I bow to the kindly Genkai to thank him for the game, before standing. Wait, Genkai says. He creaks up on his feet and moves to where the fried dough vendor is packing up. Before I can protest, he's bought a remainder dough twist and held it up to me. It's gotten a bit cold, the old man apologizes. But it's half off when he's closing shop. Genkai's worn clothes hangs on a thin frame, attached to a warm face and a warmer smile, framing haphazard teeth. This old man could never afford a full-price one. I suspect Genkai saw my hunger at the vendor stand, then made me wait with the shogi game, until he could buy me something. I thought I was winning our match of wits, but I see now that I'm wrong. With shaking hands I accept the bread. My first bite is enormous, and I see Genkai's face light up to mirror mine. The dough twist is lightly salted and crunchy on the outside, and chewy on the inside. Genkai refuses any piece of it I try to offer. He says that I look like I enjoy it too much. I don't have the time to tell him it's not about the food. I hope he understands nevertheless. The walk to the main Uchiha compound is short. It's strategically positioned at the center of town, just as the Uchiha clan is at the center of this town's security force. However, the Uchiha don't seem to have the same political or economic sway as the Senju in their town. As I walk, I try to fathom why. For one, this village seems far too big and complex. For another, the clan members seem to retain a sense of aloofness toward other villagers, content to manage their own affairs secretively, and to manage others' affairs only for a price. What's the meeting about? I wouldn't know, Haim. Izuna taps his chin. It's top secret to everyone but the attendees. Then, who'll be there? My father. Maybe some cousins, but you shouldn't worry about them, since they listen to my father. And my brother. Madara will be there? Yes. He's father's successor. That's at least one person I know, even if I don't know how to feel about him. Ever since the battle on the plain ended, Madara's been popping up in my peripheral vision. Never too close, never too far. I wonder if he's waiting for me to make a misstep, before swooping in like a large bird of prey. Just like he'd waited, that time in the Senju tea shop. I follow Izuna through the winding maze that marks the entrance to the Uchiha compound. As we walk, he tells me the names of the various elders and their familial relations. He also gives me helpful tips on what they look like, and their respective temperaments. The first thing that happens when I arrive, and Izuna waves goodbye, is that I am led down a hallway and then plopped unceremoniously into the middle of what feels like a courtroom. There's a jury panel of cousins on one side, all male. A wizened female watches like a hawk from the back, brush poised as if she's taking notes. A few guard types stand at attention by the entrance and exits. Sitting like a prosecutor toward the front of the room is Madara. And at the very front, squarely facing me, is a man I recognize by Izuna's description as Uchiha Taijima. The Uchiha clan head. Uchiha Taijima has graying hair and worn lines on his face, like he hasn't slept well in years. He carries a blade as he carries his own body like a blade, rigid and unyielding. A man like this wastes no time. As Izuna said his father would, Taijima cuts right to the chase. His words sound like he's reading the sentencing of the defendant. That would be me, sitting stiff-legged in the center of the tatami room. I expect the clan head to start with politics. Or a thank you, since he was not at the flooded plain battle. Perhaps he'd even assign me a mission to teach everyone in the clan how to crack open the underworld with a pinky. I do not expect this. You are a bastard child. The sound leaves my mouth before I can stop it. But a bastard is the best explanation anyone can give about me, so I shut up. My indiscretion has already drawn disapproving glares from all around. Normally, we would strip you of your eyes, he continues. My downturned face is impassive, even as a storm begins to brew inside. After this morning, I've tricked myself into thinking the clan like me enough to give me soap and clean clothes with a fan on the back. But maybe that's only a few people. Maybe the rest see me as a disturbance. I think back to Izuna's pale face, when he first saw my eyes. There must be strict rules here, like with the Hyuga clan in Hinata-sama's time. We want you to join us in the next battle. Who's on the other side? I ask carefully. The answer is obvious from the moment Taijima launches into the speech he must have given 100 times. It starts with the cruel history of the Senju. The Senju clan's allies, their funders, their conspiracies to wipe the Uchiha from the map. Taijima elaborates on the honor of the Uchiha, the tradition of brotherhood, the dead souls crying for retribution. I'm almost pliant, with pity, when Taijima begins to speak of the glory of war. The birthright of the Sharingan, to conquer. The power and the rich reward that is promised, once the Uchiha take all. All for the clan? The clan, before all. And finally, he tells me the battle is tomorrow. Join us in defeating the Senju. If you do, you will get a great reward. What reward? Slips from my mouth, though I'm still reeling from the news. Will they not pluck out my eyes? Refrain from killing me? Pretend I'm not a bastard? My frustration reaches a peak, like an animal cornered. I had thought the Uchiha were trying to make peace with me. But I'm beginning to doubt it could ever happen, at least with the clan head. A few murmurs come from the collection of cousins. Try to not to judge too quickly. But when I look at them for any sign of dissent, each face is as blank as a new slate. Your reward would be Taijima's eyes narrow. Full membership in the clan. Stay silent. I don't know whose bastard you are, but your powers are that of a true Uchiha. This must carry into the next generation. My face burns, and I'm suddenly all too aware of the numerous eyes on me. They're assessing me in a way none of my immediate family ever have. Suddenly, I think of the girls lining the road. The ones Izuna says have no chance with the Uchiha. I speak as evenly as I can. What if that's not what I want? Not what you want? A cousin with prominent sideburns bursts out. Tatsuhiro, I think. How insolent. I bite my cheek and go back to staring at the tatami mat. What do you want, then? It takes me a while to realize that it's Madara who's spoken. Madara, who kidnapped me without a second thought, left when I asked for water, stares incessantly at me without offering any explanation, suddenly wants to know what I want. Peace, I say. And when that brings a round of confused murmurs, I add. Vengeance. I look up at Madara then. I know my Sharingan's spinning. Because I remember Uchiha Madara now. From one of our first history lessons at the academy. He's Hashirama's opponent at the Valley of the End. He is, a man driven by vengeance. Like my papa. Like this entire clan. Like me. The history books about my clan were right. Konoha Library, 1, me 0. After the meeting's end, I race out the door of the stifling meeting room, having made no promises but also made no progress. None of the Uchiha find me tolerable, just as I find further fighting with the Senju intolerable. If it weren't for the acts of kindness earlier today, I would leave this place and shake out my sandals at them. Actually, the first part's not a bad idea. It could be my only option. Izuna catches me as I storm to the door of my guest bedroom. Wait. What happened? Ask your brother? I snarl. He wants me to fight the Senju to the death. When? Izuna seems to have missed my feelings about the matter. I can tell by his eyes that he's excited at the prospect of fighting the Senju. My stomach churns, and I try to swing past him to my room. The Uchiha have, at least, treated me with hospitality in the material sense. I decide that after I fold my bed and launder the sheets, I'm leaving. I have soap now. Laundry shouldn't take long. And I don't want to owe them anything. When? He repeats, as he follows me into the room. He's like an overgrown gnat, so I bark out the answer. Tomorrow? He repeats, incredulous. That soon? I knew something was happening soon, but I didn't think brother would keep this secret from me. He keeps a lot of secrets, I say, grabbing dirty linens haphazardly. Just like everyone else in this wretched era. Izuna looks at me, confusion all over his face. I try to push past him again, but he wedges between me and the door as he grabs the other end of the futon that's bundled in my arms. I can tell he's on to me. Change of plans, then. Hey! Where are you going? Somewhere I can think. Are you leaving town? His hand is on my wrist, tight with tension. Don't go! I don't want anything to happen to you. Nothing will happen, I mutter darkly. Izuna's not stupid. Are you coming back? He asks, softer this time. Yes. I tell myself it's not a lie. Not entirely. I might come back, at some point in the future. Just not tonight. Because if I'm here tomorrow, the Uchiha elders will drag me to do battle at their side. The only way I could leave the meeting today not tied up in rope, possibly with my eyes gouged out, was to offer something inconclusive to the clan elders. But inside I know, I can't go to battle tomorrow. Not against the Senju. I need Konoha to happen. I need to fix the clan mentality. I need everyone unified, to save the shinobi world. But in my mind, I wonder if it's futile. We're so eager to kill off each other. What does it matter if some third party finishes us off, hundreds of years in the future? With luxuries like warm food, sleep, a bath and warm clothes, my feet feel like they could run forever. The scenery blurs together as I speed along, trying to outpace my own guilt. I travel on the muddy road, trying not to think too much, as I follow the curve of the trees. Dense and lush, the forest seems to stretch on infinitely. When I get thirsty, I stop and drink from the babbling springs. Soon enough, I'm following trickling brooks. Then I see the fast-flowing current of the river. It's the river where Itama first tried to kill me. An unwelcome thought returns to me. Had Itama meant to kill me all along? The tranquil atmosphere sours, as I ruminate on this thought. Scowling, I pick up a sizable rock and hurl it across the foaming water. An ouch erupts from the other bank. I nearly fall over in surprise. Who's here? How long have they been here with me? Of all days, this is the one where I'm in no mood to pull punches. I stalk over to the water's edge, prepared to launch a jutsu downstream. Something shifts from the corner of my eye. Suddenly, the rock I threw moments ago skips back into my vision. Do I hear a grunt of exertion? What the hell? My anger fizzles out a bit, as confusion takes its place. You should say sorry instead. Swallowing my retort, I twist around the river bank to look for the speaker. I spot nothing at first. Then, my eyes land on an interesting tree at the other side of the river. It's a small and intricately knotted bonsai, unlike the evergreen firs and pines around it. I could swear that the small tree is shaking its strangely colored leaves at me, as if in disappointment. I didn't imagine Itama's savior to be like this, says the bonsai, forlornly. Did the tree just talk? I call Kai to release any genjutsu. I stick a finger to my ear. Finally, I slap my cheeks. I didn't think you would be so angry, the tiny tree laments. Angry? I'll show you angry. Naruto-sama once said I'm Mama's daughter in temper. As soon as I send wave of water down like a miniature tsunami, across the tree, I hear a despairing gurgle. The water settles. In place of the bonsai, I see a surprised, drenched man. A man whose face would be carved into the mountain, years from now. I'm eloquent when I can't decide on an emotion. You. Me? The raven-haired man points a finger at himself, his surprised face morphing into one of trepidation. Wait. No more waves. No earthquakes either. Itama told me what you could do, and honestly, I had to be careful, just in case you. You're Senja Hashirama. I interject. Shh. Not so loud. You never know who's listening, he says, putting a finger to his lips and miming the shush sound. But then the future Shodame's face breaks out into a pleased grin, as he hears the note of pleasure in my voice as I address the future founder of Konoha. So you're happy to see me? Hashirama laughs ruefully. I thought you were trying to kill me with that rock. I am happy. Relieved, rather. Or I was. Only now I'm thinking about the Uchiha again. And how I have to choose. My naivete, that history would just bring about Konoha's founding, is as exposed as the worn pebbles along this bank. From across the river, Hashirama's gaze is trained on me. I see him hesitate, as if he's considering whether to cross over instead of continue shouting at each other. I know his hesitation has nothing to do with the speed of the water flow. Actually, I bear a message, he intones. His eyes never leave mine, as if he's assessing me, as he skips across the river lightly. Normally, I would back up and get into fighting stance, just in case. But I'm a little dumbfounded as the smooth, black hair and piercing eyes approach ever closer. The god of shinobi is young, but already has such presence. Then he falls into the water. What? Just happened. And splashes up a second later. Found dinner, Hashirama declares, dripping, triumphant, and holding a fish. Resourcefulness is a virtue, I remind myself. It's not quite dinner time, but I could eat a cow, even in the form of those carcinogenic spicy burgers Burrito used to buy. My hunger is either a symptom of my trek here, or energy expended from being insulted by clan elders all afternoon. The latter, probably. I refocus on grilling fish with a small katan, while Hashirama tells me his message. Thank you? For what? I mutter. His proximity makes anything above twinkly teeth a sort of no-fly zone. Chaochu would have a field day, as I've finally succumbed to celebrity syndrome. But for all my awkward admiration of the Hokage, nothing about Hashirama looks impressive. The man gingerly pokes the fish with his finger. His whole face puckers as he winces from the burn. Isn't it obvious? He says once he's blown on his aggrieved appendage. For saving Itama. As I'm handed my food, my stomach suddenly feels queasy. The memory of the tea shop settles like a lead weight. Who was Kawato, really? The anxiety must show on my face, because Hashirama shifts. I should say sorry too, he says. It's my fault our meeting never happened. I parse his words and frown. How so? Kawato was my intermediary. You know him? Hashirama's sheer presence ignites the air again, like an electric current with an on and off switch. Kawato's an ally of the clan. Our clans go way back, and some say we were once family. Anytime we do deals with new parties, Kawato tests them. That was a test? I close my eyes. They're probably flashing red. I told Kawato you were a member of the daimyo's court, to ensure you were treated well. I saw his body after, he says meaningfully. Exactly what happened? So the fourth floor rooms of that tea shop are private, as Itama promised. Whatever happened stayed in that room. The memory of the lazy, hungry gaze seizes me. Who else was tested in that tea shop? Did they carry that secret exam to the grave, out of fear? Obligation? Would Kawato's successor follow in his footsteps? No. No successor can be allowed. I take a steadying breath. Then I tell the god of shinobi everything. Everything except that it was Madara who kidnapped me. That I omit strategically. The Valley of the End is a landmine with unknown details and trigger points. I replace my kidnapper's identity with a generic Uchiha whose name, I say, I never found out. Nevertheless, when I'm finished recounting, Hashirama's face takes on an ashy hue. The Senju heir adjusts the scarf around his neck. Then, he bowls over, head first, as if to smash his cranium into the rocks on the riverbank. It takes me a moment to realize that he's bowing to me. The god of shinobi is prostrating himself, as a sign of penitence. There's no history book telling me how to appropriately respond to this. I never realized Kawato had discarded his honor. Hashirama's voice is rough. To the one who saved my brother, no less. There's no way I can make up for this. My heart drums in my ears. There may be a way. Anything you want, just ask. Hashirama straightens. His expression is unreadable. I wonder if he's telling the truth. Itama said you were a friend to all clans? There are a lot of things I want Hashirama's help with. And then there are the things that I need his help with, but don't necessarily want. Especially not in my current mood. But this is beyond me, beyond my selfish wants. Before I change my mind, I say. Then let the Senju make peace with the Uchiha. If I thought Hashirama exuded presence before, it's nothing compared to now. His features calm, and paradoxically, every cell in my body feels that I've upset him. In the next instant, Hashirama's fingers brush against my temple. Point blank range. I panic. There's no weapon in his hand, but the Shodame's eyes pierce like a kunai. You mean that? It's so soft that I couldn't have heard it if he wasn't mere inches away. There's a worrisome carefulness. His hand shifts, and I realize he's forcing me to stare straight into his eyes, while he tests my pulse for falsehoods. Why does he want to test my commitment to my own request? I've barely met the man, but he's already a mishmash of contradictions. Do you? He repeats, mean that? I nod. What can one man do? He presses. You're not merely that, I reply, and every fiber of my being hopes that this is true. I need it to be true. You don't know how much sway you have. How much sway you will have, in the future. Hashirama's hand finally moves away. His palm ghosts over my eyes, almost as if he's going to pluck out my dojutsu. But I feel a feather-light touch, and I realize he's brushed my hair back, away from my face, extracting one last hint of my pulse against my neck. The same could be said for you, he replies. I think it's a compliment. That the moment of danger, where the god of shinobi tested me, is over. That's not how everyone sees it, though. Because in that moment, the figure of Uchiha Madara breaks through the trees. It's one thing to have a goal, but another to have a plan. My poorly planned goal, unity between Senju and Uchiha, is going to die an early death right here and now. Because Madara has found me. Me and Hashirama. In lieu of a chummy chat, the two's aura by itself seems capable of suffocating someone. They stand no more than 10 feet apart. Madara's katana erases another 2 feet. Then, Hashirama too draws his sword. Maybe it's wishful thinking, but as they glare daggers at each other, I think I see pain, then, respect underneath. Madara, you got stealthier. And you grow complacent. You should have used sage arts to sense me. I've had to break up my fair share of Boruto and Natsuki's pissing contests. The future founders of Konoha are not the teenage boys on my squad, but right now, the two legends are just teenagers. Teenagers immeasurably powerful and sufficiently fallible to turn this into a reenactment of the Valley of the End. Every pebble I walk on seems to slide under my feet. You followed me, Madara? I ask warily. Surprise, then amusement, rearranges Hashirama's face. Madara, since when do you stalk girls? Surely this is an unworthy pastime, for my rival. So childish, Shodame, I think glumly. No way Mr. Stoic will respond. I'm not stalking. And we're not rivals. New Uchiha fact. Madara, also childish. Stalking a clanswoman too, Hashirama tuts. You're going to be clan head one day, Madara. Isn't picking for yourself against the rules? I feel like I have a katon building in my mouth. Briefly, I consider actually breathing fire at the two. I am going to change the clan system. I declare mostly as a way to change the subject to unity, peace, rainbows, or any of that jazz. Except Hashirama grins so wide, I think his face will split. Madara's shocked, stony face makes me realize my announcement didn't come out right in context. A revolutionary. Never thought you'd go for that type, Madara. Revolutionary's more your type, isn't it? The Uchiha scowl gets a little deeper. Or perhaps you're looking for a lousy gambler, like yourself. Well, what say you to a gamble right now? The war between our clans continues tomorrow, Madara. Say we wager for some ground rules? Ground rules? I repeat, incredulous. Is Hashirama taking my request to heart? A negotiation, he nods. I don't want to fight the Uchiha just because I'm told to. Madara's eyes narrow. Is that really the only reason you battle? Because your father demands it? You'll know a father's lecture as well as I do. Hashirama rubs his free hand to the back of his neck. I wonder if we didn't give peace a second chance, Madara. What second chance? Madara's sword quivers ever so slightly. What chance did the Senju give to my younger brothers, when you killed them? The tension remounts. But I've seen it in their eyes. The will of fire. A metaphorical, fleeting thing yet to be named. The inter-village tension, which we grappled with in my era, takes the form of inter-clan tension. But in the end, they're the same. It's our prerogative to choose, again and again, as humans, if we let the dividing lines build or destroy us. Their swords edge closer. Stop it! I shout. You're real enemies, not each other. I've cracked open a can of worms, unoriginal and unappetizing. But for this era, an alternate vision is something that hasn't been given voice enough times. Madara and Hashirama pause, peering at me like I've spouted two heads. That's when 6 other heads burst through the forest, sporting matching Uchiha battle uniforms. Naked swords point straight at Hashirama's heart. Madara! I seethe. But he seems just as surprised. Lord Madara, we've been searching for you, one of the new arrivals says. Are you all right? Take the charge and leave, he says, never sparing me a glance. All that talk earlier today about what I want was just empty words, after all. First, we can help you finish off this Senjukur, a guard says. It'll aid us greatly tomorrow if one of the other side's generals is injured. Even better, dead. At the threats to his life, Hashirama lowers his sword. He's insane, I think. Actually insane. 3 Uchiha rush forward, only for their limbs to catch in a flowering tangle of branches. A protective shell twists around Hashirama's body. Several Uchiha issue fire, but by the time the branches have blackened and crumbled, Hashirama is no longer inside. My Sharingan activates. There. Over 50 feet away on the bank downstream. Sarada! Hashirama's voice is full of mirth. His distant figure waves excitedly. Haruno Sarada, or Uchiha Sarada. Whatever you choose to be called. Here's my real message. Come with me to the Senju houses. I freeze. If he thinks this makes me happy, he's dead wrong. This is exactly the thing that will ensure my death sentence among the Uchiha clan. Several lethal clan members, with their swords all drawn, surround me. Or maybe this is what Hashirama wants. To force my hand? Regardless, I prepare myself for a drawn-out fight. Then, suddenly, out of the charred cage that Hashirama left, twists a new, towering wooden statue. It resembles some mutant humanoid. If I squint, it sort of looks like an angry bodhisattva. We can leave now, Sarada! Just say the word. Leave now. The brief moment burns up in flames. A scorching cat-on lights the scene until Hashirama's wooden guardian resembles a flaming pyre, crackling with a fierce anger. Through the acrid smoke, I glimpse Madara, eyes blazing, hand cupping his mouth, his features like the burning Buddha. But why? It easy for him to abandon me. Is he so protective of the Sharingan bloodline? Does he hate the Senju that much? I think of Furumi's words at the bathhouse. I think of soap. Shogi games. Dough twists. Don't judge too quickly. My feet carry me to the edge of the bank, as I pack all my force into splashing the icy river water onto the flames. The pyre hisses and keens, now a towering, smoking ruin. I clamber back onto the shore, ignoring the pointed looks shot at me. Hashirama! I shout, not caring what the listeners will take from this. Say hi to Itama for me. I watch the figure downstream slowly lower his own arms. I can't make out his expression. No way would Hashirama feel sad about leaving me, I tell myself. Perhaps he's sad about disappointing Itama. It's possible I'll never see that squirt again. Because who knows what the Uchiha will do to me now. Don't judge too quickly. But what happens when the clan judges me? I don't get my eyes poked out. Yet. So there's that silver lining. I am, however, placed under house arrest as soon as we arrive at the village, right as the sun fades over the horizon. This time, there's no welcoming crew. The group traveled at breakneck speed, me, the baggage, with my arms taped at my side, looking every inch an untrustworthy Uchiha blood traitor. To add salt to the wound, my stomach growled the entire trip, as traitorous as its owner. Everyone ignored it until we reached the Uchiha compound, where I'm shoved back into my guest room. My window shades are drawn tight, masking the foggy night. I circle my futon and wonder, how many seals are around this room? Can I dismantle them without triggering alarms? I'm so engrossed that I almost missed the knock at the door. I expect Izuna, but a young girl enters. She's a wispy, petite thing, and walks with a slight limp. A tray with a bowl of kanji is placed on the floor next to my futon. The girl starts, a little guiltily. This was all that was left in the kitchen. Doubtful. The night before battle is a morale-boosting ceremony, and a nutrition-boosting one. There's sure to be more food than gruel, no matter the era. Still, I'm grateful that I was spared anything. As I sit up, I can't help but notice an enormous scar along the girl's calf, trailing up her thigh. I try not to stare at the mottled, off-color pucker, as I pick up my spoon. Surprisingly, the girl doesn't leave as I ladle kanji into my mouth, just stares intently at me. Do I have rice on my face? She restarts. Is it true? Is what true? That you can crack open the underworld with your pinky. I nearly spew kanji on her. False, I sputter. There were stories about Edo Tensei. But that was sealed. No one dead can be retrieved, by anyone in the living. She looks dubious. But everyone's been talking about it. Take it from the source, I frown. I can crack the ground sometimes. With punches. That's it, is the eager reply. Can you teach me? Right now? Her leg. Too many shinobi skills involve legwork, something that's beyond her. But why turn to me to learn how to throw a punch? And tonight? I consider telling her to not associate with me. Who knows what strange clan rules exist about that? But it's hard to be mean to someone who delivers you food. Plus, she has that little sister feel to her, like Himawari. What's your name? Sayuri. She bows, the dip deep and formal. I'm sorry to impose. It's just I finally turned 12 this year. I was supposed to start in battles 2 years ago, but her eyes traveled to her leg. But why must you learn tonight? Tomorrow's the biggest battle, in a very long time. I recall Uchiha Taijima's long speech as Sayuri continues. They've finally made the formal call to arms to the entire clan today. Everyone is going. Everyone. The implications don't escape me, as I tell Sayuri that I can't teach her fine chakra control in one night. She wilts, and I feel a pang of guilt. I have more than an inkling what it means to have a handicap in this clan. Perfection seems to be an ultimatum, not a goal. A physical defect means a loss in economic earning, social standing, and much, much more. So how'd you get that? Sayuri's face clouds, but she obliges. The training accident happened when she was 9, 3 years ago. Her older brother's lightning jutsu had laced a practice katana, but it was too much for him to control. Sayuri became handicapped and scarred. By the clan standards, her brother got off more easily. He was electrocuted, went into shock, and died. As she tells me the details of the wound, an idea percolates. Can I see the scar? She nods once, slowly. My hands hover over her mottled skin. As my palms begin to glow, she gasps but doesn't move. It's not the entire leg. I've guessed as much, seeing her kind of limp. It's the nerves along your knee. Along the tendon, to be exact. That's what the healer said. Her eyes are large and haunted. I can't be a kunoichi with this. Tell you what, I sigh. We can't fix this entirely, but we can make it better. Sayuri's mouth hangs open, but her eyes burn with hope. By tomorrow? What's the rush? I frown, but I know the answer. It's so hard to prove yourself, when you've already been overlooked. She needs a big debut. A big battle that's a once-in-a-blue-moon chance. I'll need some hot water, a scalpel, a sewing kit, a brush and ink, and a piece of paper. I've used these things so many times on field missions that I don't even pause to think. Sayuri's newfound quickness belies her haste to gather the items, to change her destiny. Then, at the door, she stops. What's a scalpel? A small, sharp knife. I smile tiredly, and roll up my sleeves. And make sure the water's boiling. Performing surgery is not how I imagined I would spend the last remaining hours until the battle tomorrow. But at least no one disturbs my room. Everyone's busy catching up on sleep for the big day. Meanwhile, I'm now feeling wide awake, astonished by a young girl's calm agreement to me slicing up her knee. Surgery can't be common here. If you can crack open the gates of hell with a fingernail, she says devoutly, I trust you. This is how rumors get exaggerated. I told you I can't, I sigh. Hold still. My brush traces the seal holding her knee immobile against the white futon. Then, I poise the knife over her mottled flesh. I bet Sayuri wouldn't have shifted even if I brought down an axe. Are you sure your futon won't get stained? The girl asks. I would laugh at the absurdity of someone worrying about my futon when a stranger's cutting into her leg. But I don't break my concentration, as I apply chakra to her nerves. This is a short procedure patented by Lady Tsunade, but it's detailed. It requires at least a year of training, because the procedure sends the cell's natural generation process into overdrive. Too much of a good thing is toxic. I bite my lip on the final stretch, and then, my heated needles is quickly sewing up the cut. When I'm done, I let out the breath I've been holding. Sayuri gapes, a mix of awe and disbelief on her features. That's it. That's it. I sprawl bonelessly on the futon, despite that the bedding was my makeshift surgery table just a second ago. Don't worry. It's normally fast. This is an emergency procedure in the field for cauterized wounds. I'm met with confused silence. You said your scar was from a blade with a lightning jutsu, I explain. That creates similar qualities to a burn. Getting to the nerves required me to reopen a fresh wound. Then I stimulate and rewire the nerves. Then we leave the detailed repairs to your own body. That's why you sewed me up like a blanket? Like a blanket, I nod, as I resist burrowing into mine. I'm suddenly aware of how tired I am. I don't relish breaking the bad news, but I force myself to cut to the chase. By the way, the battle tomorrow's a no-go. I'm sorry I lied about that part. Indeed, this procedure doesn't get Sayuri back up and running for tomorrow. But that's good, in my view. I'd rather those around Himawari's age don't go to the front lines against Senju, and who knows who else. The important thing is, this procedure will get Sayuri that kunoichi career. In a few weeks, or months, but most definitely a few years, she'll run as she was meant to. The young girl can't hold back her tears as she hugs me. I smile and awkwardly hug back. Vaguely, I wonder if I wish I wasn't in her position. Because healing me or not, traitor or not, I have a feeling I'll still be dragged out to battle. As predicted, I'm roused at the crack of dawn. It's not ideal, 3 hours of sleep. Fortunately, it was the sleeping dead kind where fatigue kept me from nightmares. I stumble to the door, and am shocked by the sight of Uchiha Furumi. In the candlelight, the field commander looks like she got even less sleep than I. In her hands is a familiar gray bundle, the Uchiha Battle Ensemble. My orders are to join, after all? I haven't dressed. It's not as a symptom of sleepiness. Rather, the clothes Azuna gave me seem somehow wrong to wear today. Furumi seems to notice my lack of dress too. I half expect her to scold me. Then, to my mounting surprise, she wordlessly hands me, along with the uniform, 3 polished plates of armor. I examine their luster and size. They're for my shoulders and torso. What have I done right? My husband and I, Furumi says carefully, have not seen our daughter so happy in years. Ever since we lost our son. Sayuri. I put the pieces together, but I don't accept the armor Furumi proffers. Silently, I put the plates aside, then I fold up my futon and place the bedding into the corner of the room. As the older Uchiha waits by the door to escort me to the troops, I tug on the dark pants. But I make no move to put on anything else over my sleeping layers. The question in her eyes disappears. I will bring other clothes. When Furumi brings me a crisp uniform without any fan insignia on it, I know she understands. The entire march to the battleground, Izuna doesn't speak a word to me. I sense betrayal in his eyes, as he wordlessly takes in my clothes, armorless and fanless. Someone probably told Izuna what happened by the river. It's strange, because he's still obligated to keep an eye on me. He doesn't march beside me today, but trails from behind, doing his duty and no more. 2 hours into the trek, the Uchiha in front of me start jostling each other. Several break formation. Since this is considered very ill discipline indeed, I reason that the front must have been attacked, or we've encountered a very large roadblock. In my haste to scan the tall trees for enemies, I almost ram into a familiar armored breastplate. Madara. This is unexpected. Besides his father, he's the general leading the forces. As such, he's supposed to be marching up front. HN is all I'm regaled with, as the troops hastily reassemble. I expect Madara to leave, after this odd test of his troops' discipline. But then he takes one big stride over to my right, and settles into march beside me. I can feel the surrounding shinobi's eyes on us. Izuna's gaze near incinerates my back. So I stare at the surrounding forest path. But my old tactic works less well, when I know either Madara or I would strike up conversation anyway. The battlefield is a large, grassy valley flanked by forested hills. There, the other allied clans are already assembled. My eyes scan the hill for the Hagoromo clan, which is one of the tactical reasons I came back to the Uchiha. But their symbols are nowhere to be found. Instead, I find 3 unfamiliar clan insignias, waving from their respective banners farther up the large hill our side has taken over. I jog away from the Uchiha tents to explore. Don't wander. It's Madara, eagle-eyed as ever. You should attend the discussion of the battle plan, if you want to gain repute today. I'm not interested in collecting Senju heads, I hiss. I thought I made that clear. I don't know why I'm still forced to be here. His face never shifts. Do you know who allowed you to be here today? Who? I should thank them. With a large knuckle sandwich. Me. What's there to brag about? Thanks for the favor, I glower. Madara gives me the closest thing his face has to a puzzled look. You would have been stripped of your rank otherwise. What rank? I say, confused. I don't have any rank. That's true. He pauses. You also had no ties. That means someone had to bear the consequences of your actions. What? I frown. I don't want to owe anyone. Was it Furumi, who woke me up and thanked me for her daughter's surgery? Surely not Izuna, who won't associate with me anymore. As I stare at Madara's impassive face, I realize the answer is none of the previous 2. I look to Madara's fisted hands, and closing in so swiftly he has no chance to turn away, I pick up one hand and see the faint mark of laceration seared across the palm. But you're the heir. No one is above clan law. The clan system is broken. I myself sound broken. Like a broken record. But I'd rather sound broken than let myself be that. You and Hashirama could have settled this yesterday. Dark eyes narrow and he doesn't say anything back, merely shifts his hand away as if I've contaminated it. In this moment, I hate the qualities that make Uchiha, Uchiha. We feel too passionately, Mama once said. That's why we show nothing at all. Why defend the clan system? I seethe. At least give me a reason. If you like it so much, then why defend me? I see his mask crack. He turns, before I see the human beneath the soldier. Thank you for healing the girl, Madara says. Then he sweeps away, cloak billowing, into one of the tents. It begins with drums. Pounding over the hills like a rhythmic, ruthless melody. Each resounding dawn reverberating in echoes that reign over the valley, which is slowly being filled with people. I strain my neck over the edge of our hill, and wonder where the Senju are. I see the battle tower, on the large hill opposite ours. The tower is more of a rickety wooden frame than the elaborate pagoda structures that exist in Uchiha village. I activate my Sharingan, and I see the charred edges of the tower, like it's been sieged once too many. But it's still standing. That must mean the side that chose that tower to fight has been victorious before. Although I refuse to attend the battle plan meeting, I do stroll around their tent, eavesdropping. It's easy pickings. The generals and their aides have to give instructions to the other soldiers. I quickly figure out the plan to seize the tower, and the division of labor. It'll be a long, gruesome day, to end a long, gruesome war. 2 vanguard flanks will coalesce with the front line of shinobi marching on foot. Then, the most experienced Sharingan users bring up the back, to storm through the enemy lines when there's an opening, and make sure the tower crumbles, killing anyone inside. Then, take the general's and the daimyo's head, if he's located in that tower. Eventually, all the soldiers around the camps get assigned into a division. Except me. I find Izuna, as he's readying to enter the valley with his unit. If he can't forgive me, then maybe he can't care enough to hide me from the naked truth. What does the clan want from me? I ask bluntly. Izuna's response is hollow. Nothing. Then why am I here? Why aren't I assigned to a division? Nothing makes sense. He looks surprised, and stops polishing his sword to stare at me. You said you wouldn't fight the Senju. So someone told him. Then why am I even here? I repeat. His eyes search my face. I don't know what he's looking for. Remorse? Guilt? There's a lot of both in me, but not for the decision Izuna's mad at. Finally, he shrugs. Madara's orders. To discipline me? Humiliate? Get me killed in the fray? It doesn't matter now. Okay, I swallow with difficulty. But before I die, or you die, I should apologize. Izuna gets a hard look in his eye. It's not that I want to go against the Uchiha clan, I say. Then why? Yesterday. Izuna rakes a hand through his hair, and stands. Apparently, this is the straw on the metaphorical camel's back. He raises his polished, gleaming sword, and I see my own grim reflection. Then, with a clang, he sheathes it. I don't know what you are. You do. But he's not entirely wrong. I try all the things I can tell him. I'm Uchiha Sarada. My father gave me a strange first name, but I'm one of you, just as he was. My mother didn't come from this clan, but she loved it all the same. And yes, I'm a bastard, but that doesn't make me less an Uchiha. So why did you leave? Izuna's dark eyes burn. And why choose to come back, if you're not going to help us? I'm looking for someone, I say, honestly. Who? Izuna asks. He towers above me, leaning close as he spits out a name. A Senju? He's too close. I can't meet his red eyes. Clan vengeance has both dulled and sharpened Izuna. I'm afraid I'll scrape myself along his edges. I shake my head vigorously, while wondering if I'm any different, at the end of the day. Not the Senju. Then who? A clan called the Otsutsuki. Izuna stops trembling. He's very still. Don't know him, he says, and steps back. You're making it up. I'm not, I say dully. They killed my family. They can kill us all. What do you know of family? Tell me how I can trust you now, when you tried to leave for the Senju, he murmurs. Even after we accepted you as one of our own. Even when you admit the blood that flows through you is Uchiha. There's no answer to give. I let him walk away, to join his division, to join the shouts of the battle below. This time, he's not cutting open a path for me. The sun beats down at midday, merciless. I watch from my hill as the battle unfolds, trying to tell myself it'll be okay. Nerves are always a bigger problem if friends are fighting and I'm not. I've invented rituals for myself, lest I go crazy with worry. There will be peace soon. There will be Konoha. Then there will be the village alliance. I don't know how or why, but there will be. In a way, what I'm here for is no different than what the people in the valley, desperately stabbing at each other, are doing. I'm not the Nanadame Hokage. I'm not even Boruto, with his disarming charm in the unlikeliest of times. I'm Papa's daughter. Someone who works in isolation, who wants peace but craves vengeance. Perhaps it's only my brain that tells me one is better than the other. When will there be peace? I whisper to the wind. You chase an illusion. Surprise makes me wobble on my rocky perch. Thankfully, I don't tumble down the ledge as I turn. It's Madara, in full battle regalia. He's an impressive sight, in a billowing black cloak trimmed with scarlet, armor gleaming under the midday sky. If I were a proper, respectful soldier, I would bow to my general. Instead, I stare mutely and wonder. Do all generals go out last, and if so, is Hashirama not there yet either? What about Itama? Madara's gaze travels onto the sprawl of the battlefield, as if he senses my thoughts. Belatedly, I register his words to me. I'd rather chase an illusion than this, I reply. His eyes are dark, fully lucid. All Uchiha know that illusions are built from great sorrow. But we persist in chasing them. You too? I push. What's your illusion? Peace. My breath hitches. Vengeance, he adds. And by now, there is no question. Madara's repeating my words back to me. I want to turn around and demand answers. What do those things mean to him? Which of the two would he choose if their paths diverged? But when I stand, his tall figure is already walking away to the heart of the encampment. His final instructions to me linger where he does not. You're due in battle now. Do a good job, and you will be fully accepted into the clan. I slide carefully into position between two other shinobi as we report for duty. It's a familiar three-person unit, except the two shinobi by my side don't resemble Boruto or Mitsuki in the least. One is a female Uchiha slightly older than me with a swept ponytail and narrow eyes. The other is a man I assume is from one of our ally clans. His cheeks are covered with paint, and he smells slightly feral. For some reason, I feel like he's here to sniff me out if I try to run. Hey Aheim, the non-Uchiha greets me with a pointed grin. Heard a bit of your story. Of course he has. I wouldn't be surprised if the clan gave him something to sniff out my scent later too. When he introduces himself as Inuzuka Kizaru, it all makes sense in that sad little laugh kind of way. Our team takes a cloistered path down the hillside that's strewn with rocks. It's easy to get down, but difficult to get up. This makes it perfect as a tactical route. We quickly make our way down into the melee below, with one thing as our target. You take his arms. And you take his legs. And you? I say dubiously. I'll take his throat. Kizaru licks his lips. Uchiha Manako shudders, while I count my blessings that, at least, Inuzuka Kizaru is on my team. On the other hand, I'm full of trepidation for our target. The elder who assigned us this mission gave a nasally chuckle that still rings in my head. The clan elders must know about my little Senju fiasco. Capture Senju Tobarama, dead or alive. Preferably dead. We're about halfway to the enemy's side. An increasing number of fallen bodies are strewn about the valley edge. Bleeding out. Moaning. Dying. Others, I imagine, could be saved with the proper treatment. Lady Tsunade or Mama would summon Katsuyu. But there are too many for me to save. From the looks of their emblazoned attire, most are not from our side. A loud groan comes from a fallen body a few feet away. I hear rambling names, as if the fallen soldier sees familiar faces in his delirium. Ignore it, Manako instructs when I pause. Yeah, battle's not for soft-hearted pussies, scoffs Kizaru. I'm not stopped because I'm soft-hearted. On the man's body, I see a gleaming pendant with an arresting symbol. Quickly, I scan his features. Pale, but with hair that's not quite the right color. I kneel and feel his heartbeat. He won't make it. Who are you? I say, careful not to shake him. I try to tamp down the urgency in my voice. Tell me your name. Bring me back, he moans again. I want to see my daughter Tsukino. She's at the tower. That's rich, barks Kizaru. Don't bring your daughter to battle if you can't handle the consequences. We're wasting time, Manako sneers. We should be heading for the Senju rear unit, before they disperse. Indeed, that's the latest report about Tobarama's whereabouts. A Sharingan user sacrificed herself, for that intel. Maybe he can tell us how the Senju side's organized, I say. In truth, it's not that I'm not interested in. This man's pendant bears a familiar shape, a crescent moon, next to an orb. The symbol looks as if the moon were swallowing the earth. The Otsutsuki clan symbol. Who are you? I ask again. I'll deliver your dying message to your daughter. Oh, his mouth forms the shape. But the only thing that comes out is blood, as a kunai punctures his lung. I nearly awaken my Sharingan and launch myself at Manako. He's an enemy, she says simply. And he was already dying. Kizaru nods. We need to hurry, before more on our side dies. I swallow the bow that's risen to my mouth. Then I take the pendant from the man whose true identity I will never know. I can't come with you. Excuse me? Manako says, her voice rising. You're deserting? You think you're so special, to come and go as you please? I ignore her as I test the man's pulse one more time. But he's gone. There'll be consequences. Lord Madara won't protect you anymore. Manako hisses. Lord Izuna's already given up on you. She stomps over, as if to fight me. Careful, now. Kizaru waves a warning hand to both of us. You know what our mission is. There's a lot of pay wrapped up in this, so I'm not willing to shoulder your mistakes. This isn't about payment, I say. Money's how your clan survives, Kizaru frowns. How all our clans survive. This is so much bigger than clan survival. I swallow. I feel like I've lost something more just than this lead. Why am I even here? I'm sorry, but I'm abandoning the mission. Kizaru steps toward me. Hey, I think you know what I'm authorized to do if you say that. He's cut off, as Manako steps in between him and me. Leave her, the Uchiha woman snarls. She's only weighing us down. But I'll deal with Lord Madara and Izuna, she says coldly. You choose for yourself, Inuzuka. Capture Tobarama and let your clan become rich, or hang around with this stupid pacifist, who doesn't even know ally from enemy. I can't retort. I'm no pacifist. But it's true that I don't know who or where my enemy is. I can't rope just anyone into my battle, just as they shouldn't rope me into theirs. This thought tastes lonely somehow. At least I'm free now. Free in the middle of a raging war. I half expect Madara or Izuna to come popping out of a bush. But there's no one here on the outskirts of the battle. There's only death. Faceless bodies near my feet. Do I just go? No. The pendant's owner could have clan relatives, here, with similar clues to the Otsutsuki. This is a rare chance, and I can't let it slip by. I look to the path that Manako and Kizaru took. Then I look back at the path from where we came. I'm more than halfway to the other side of the valley. To the hill where the Senju and their clan allies have assembled. To the tower, where the pendant man's daughter is. I'm going to have to join the action, whether I like it or not. There's an advantage to not having an Uchiha symbol on my back. The Uchiha fan is like a psychological weapon and a blazing target in battle. Luckily, people pause as they assess whose side I'm on. That's enough time for me to slip away. I'm just an average height, skinny girl no one cares to waste time on, weaving through the clashing swords and spilling blood. I don't stay in one place long enough for someone to assess my spinning red eyes through my lenses. The base of the tower is guarded more loosely than expected. The Uchiha allies haven't made it this far into Senju territory, but perhaps they've diverted away a number of guards. Distantly, I hear shouts and flares of Katan no Jutsu behind me, as I creep through the rocks and foliage on my ascent up the hill. As I climb, I wonder if my previous teammates are engaging Tobarama right now. As I approach the tower, I match my body to exactly what I remember. The man's real pendant chain shines around my neck. I hope it attracts his family, or his clan. I also henge a gash on my face, so that I'm bleeding heavily from above the eye, to make it obvious why I've returned to the tower. Say my name. I chant inwardly as I approach the first guards. I don't dare to greet them first. I have no clue what this guy's normal voice sounds like, and even a rasp that's off can alert a trained shinobi. Unlike the Rokudame, I've never been able to master vocal node transformation to the point of disguising my voice as an older man's. The first guards let me pass, and I make a beeline for the first floor stairwell. I'm about to take my second creaking step when I hear, "Hey you! What's the problem?" I turn with effort. It's a bearded man with a Senju crest emblazoned on his back. Password clearance for the first level. I pretend to be disoriented and hurt, as I lean against the railing. I hope he leaves me alone, if he thinks I can't continue to climb. No such luck. He approaches, and I turn to see if anyone's watching. Thankfully, a large explosion of fire and smoke at the foot of the hill have diverted most guards' attention. The hill is officially under siege. I don't have much time, so I lower my knees and crash a lateral chop into the Senju's neck. Then I run for it. Up the stairs. 4, 5, at a time, Sharingan winking on and off as I scan each floor for the crescent moon symbol. The wood creaks with effort. Certain planks are blackened to near charcoal. I wonder how long this tower will hold up. How it's holding up now. I remember Hashirama's Wujutsu, how he made that charred bodhisattva grow new branches. I start to smell smoke. Plumes of it, following me up the stairs as I ascend. The tower's interior looks like a tall monastery. Everything is made of wood. People on each level rush to the balconies, carrying arrows, spears, anything that serves as projectiles. But no one seems to be wearing a pendant. A hand grabs my foot, just as the tower gives one great lurch. I glance down. The bearded Senju. I take out the kunai I've been saving. It's clearly an Uchiha kunai, so I try to be quick as I pry away the man's fingers. Only he lets go as soon as the metal tip grazes him. "Who are you?" The man's eyes are wide. "Who are you?" I toss back. Another explosion rocks the tower, and we both tumble down several stairs as the tower sways dangerously to and fro. His beard scratches my face, and I turn, indignant that I'm buried under the stranger. Then, as I stare into his eyes, I realize he's not a Senju at all. I know those eyes. I know them exhibiting a range of emotions. But I know them particularly well in anger. "Izuna?" I breathe, in my real voice. "Es Sarada?" Another explosion. The smell of smoke gets stronger. "Why are you here?" he exclaims, as he hauls me to my feet and puts me on the first landing. I peer down and swallow. It's been a long time since I've been at this height. We must be on the 6th floor now, second from the top. "Same for you," I say. I got dispatched to kill Tobarama, but I decided against it. I expect him to goggle, or grow angry. Instead, Izuna laughs bitterly, and points behind me. "Well, here's your second chance." I'm not arrogant enough to think I can take on the Naidame in his prime. But this Senju Tobarama should be younger, more inexperienced, right? Wrong. Tobarama looks older than me, armored, with substantial bulk under that armor, and a speedy lightness as he moves fluidly down the outdoor hallway. As he walks, he shouts orders to the archers on this floor. "Evacuate if you're not shooting," he barks. Engage the enemy on the ground. Take at least 2 Uchiha heads each, before you retreat. In his steely voice, I hear none of the casual warmth of his elder brother, and none of the endearing childlike quality of his younger brother. Most of all, I hear his sheer hatred for the Uchiha, as he describes the techniques his fighters should use should they encounter one. I see Izuna's perspective, now. I wonder how in the world I could have contemplated joining the Senju, if they have such family members. If you're not fighting, leave, Izuna whispers. But there's urgency in his voice. He grabs me by the shoulder, as if he'd drag me away by force. I struggle. I can't leave, when I'm so close. I need to find someone, anyone, who knows this man with the pendant. Then, Izuna's hand loosens, and a sudden chill runs up my spine. Sir, Izuna says. His Senju ensemble is perfect, as he military salutes. I try to look nonchalant as narrow eyes pinpoint my face. What's the problem? Tobirama asks. I ask my men to get along. No problem, the transformed Izuna is cool as a cucumber. His Sharingan's dismantled, too. He looks every inch a loyal Senju soldier. Then Izuna swings me up on his back and tosses me down the stairs. I barely cushion, straightening to shout some obscene words, when I see Izuna and Tobirama begin to fight on the floor above the staircase landing. The blood leaves my face as I realize, Izuna's just saved my life. Tobirama was asking for a password. What's the problem, he said. That's the same thing Izuna asked me when he was pretending to be a guard. That's the code trigger phrase. There's no time to berate myself for stupidity. I consider leaving to look for clues to the Otsutsuki. After all, I'm running out of time. The fire has been set to the bottom of the tower, and it's licking its way up, despite the numerous suiton that are being fired in hissing spurts. I glance back up and see Izuna's sweating face, his henge transformation gone, as he clashes swords with Tobirama. Retreat. Tobirama's blade lances across Izuna's. Or die. I imagine you'd want to join your father. Father? Uchiha Taijima's dead? I bolt back up the stairs. In the process, I drop my own transformation. Maybe Itama or Hashirama told Tobirama about me. Maybe it can stall him. I've never been quite so naive. Tobirama sees me and fires 3 shuriken, straight to my vitals. I jump, but one succeeds in slashing across my collarbone, not enough to kill but enough to make me lose breath in pain. My mind races. I have only kunai, and my hands. I don't want to kill Tobirama, but I also can't let Izuna die. He's clearly losing. The news of his father's death, real or not, has the intended effect. Then I see it. Tendrils of new wood, lacing around the base of the shaking tower, holding it up momentarily. If I can find the source, I can find Hashirama. But will he help me? Will his promise hold? Tobirama! I shout as their swords clang faster, sparks erupting along each of their blades. Stop this! Your brother Hashirama promised me peace. He pays me no heed. I must seem like a poor liar. Or a raving lunatic. Izuna stumbles, badly, and I see no other option as Tobirama's blade bears down with a cruel gleam. Groggily, as if in a dream, I rush forward to put myself between 2 of the greatest fighters in this generation, with only chipped kunai in hand. Against their katana, I've little to no chance. But I have enough chakra left in me to heal from any non-lethal wounds. I can survive. I have to. Unfortunately, I've no sooner wedged myself between them than Tobirama aims for me. In that split second, Izuna swivels my body, crushing it against his, as he takes the blow. Blood paints the walls of the tower a scarlet color, as vivid as Izuna's eyes. We both crash on the floor. Breathing hard, I crawl away from Izuna's stiffened grip, which speaks to medical shock, rather than his earlier intent to keep me alive. Tobirama's above us. His eyes are blisteringly cold. So you're both Uchiha. You thought to infiltrate our base? You're just like the stories. Senju Tobirama, right? I say, more words pouring from my mouth, gibberish that's near nonsensical. Anything to buy time, as I hunch my body around Izuna's. Frantically, my hands force chakra to Izuna's red gash, which extends from the shoulder blade to the lower back. My hands can't cover the red mess that leaks onto the floor. Fuck, I see bone. Who are you? Tobirama's gaze narrows. His sister? Hey, tell me, is the Uchiha patriarch really dead? I continue in my ramblings, sweat collecting on my brow. Did you kill him? That's not a nice thing to do, you know. He really does pause this time, as if my raving has confirmed what my previous action had not, that I'm half mad. Maybe I am. I'll finish off the rest, too, says Tobirama, almost pityingly. That way, no one in the family suffers. I need to move. But Izuna's body is fading, even as I pour more chakra into him. I feel myself grow excruciatingly weary, but I can let them be, I can let them be, I can let them be, I can let Bridity. More chakra. My vision clouds. More chakra. My breathing stops. More chakra. This feels familiar. Where am I? I see a sword swing down. Tobirama's? Atsutsuki's? A dark figure sweeps forward, like a giant bird of prey, and I blink. I blink many times. It's no bird. It's Madara. The new clan head? He looks it. His face chills my blood to ice. Almost like a movie, I see Tobirama's body crash through the 6th floor, down a level. I blink again, and I see the archers on this floor laid out like dead bodies. Are they dead? Who killed them? Who killed? I'm still shaking, but I can't stop my healing jutsu. I feel my chakra being drawn out to a wisp, as if against my will. Or as if my own sanity depends on it. Izuna! My mind screams. Why isn't Izuna waking up? Why isn't Boruto? My vision blurs again, this time swimming with tears. Let me go, I sob. The world lurches. Or maybe that's just the tower, now on its last legs. Izuna, someone says, coming to kneel next to me. Is it Madara? Then I hear, so softly I almost failed to catch it. Sarada. It's the first time I've heard Madara say my name. It sounds awful, coming from him. I don't need to hear it from him. Let me go, I repeat, salt water dripping onto the back of my hands as I hunch over the dying man. On the other side of my palms, Izuna's heart stabilizes. Warmth returns under my fingers. My chakra is nearly gone, though. I'm so tired. Physically tired. Mentally tired. Soul deep and gut-wrenching tired. I feel like I'm waking up from a dream, but I'm not sure, because there's layers to it. Like my brain is being peeled back. Vaguely, I hear Madara breathe a sigh beside me, but I can't see beyond the blurry image. He must be relieved his brother's alive. Suddenly, I feel callous fingers on my face, wiping away my tears. The hands are surprisingly warm. It's too much. I'm so relieved that Izuna lives, so relieved that no one died this time, saving me, that I let my deepest secret spill. It's not about me being from the future. Madara draws away, as if burned. You have. Let me go. I don't want to hurt anyone like this anymore. I don't want to be the cause of death. Let me go, Boruto. The world swims in pools of water. Concentric circles, like a koi jumping into a pond. Vaguely, I register shouts around me. Someone pulls Izuna's body away, and I'm left with nothing in my hands. Another tug pulls at my arm, and I'm dragged downstairs. I register heat licking up against my cheeks, as if the whole building were on fire. Maybe it is. Maybe the entire world. A part of me wouldn't mind if it burned. With fire. Black fire. My fingers register soft dirt beneath, raked into piles, as if I've been clawing at the ground. The remnants of spring drift to my nose, strangely smoky and charred, as I watch spongy bits of moss drift down from the trees. I blink. Where am I? I ask, throat dry. Are we still fighting? You're free. I blink again. Madara's face is before me. Another figure's next to me, stirring on the patchy grass. Izuna. I sit up and watch his eyes open, expecting anything but the expression I see there. In my time here, I've shocked him, saddened him, angered him, betrayed him. But I've never seen myself revered by him, as if I were a deity. This is the final chasm. I know we will never be friends again. I look to Madara. He's still standing a foot away, like a bird of prey, tall, looming, waiting. Always waiting. Am I free to go? I can't stop you, says Madara. Your eyes see beyond mine. I wait for Izuna to protest. I know that he looks up to his brother the most. But he doesn't say anything except give the tiniest nod. I also wait for Madara to ask questions. Like, why did you hide this from us? Or will you use the Manjiki Sharingan to help the Uchiha take over the world? But he doesn't. He doesn't say anything more. Okay, I say. I'm going. I pick myself up and walk. It's easy, right? After all, I've done it many times before. As the branches crack underneath my feet, I wonder why Madara doesn't stop me, this time. A small part of me thought he was prepared to chase me to the Senju and back. Initiate me as a fellow Uchiha. But why would he? I have killed people far closer to me than he is. And now Madara knows it. After all, he can see it in my eyes. Like an addict, or an exile, I listen for news. But the ninja world can be like shadows, to those who don't fight. A month ago, I walked away from battle, from the Uchiha and Senju tearing each other apart. As long as the fighting continues, I'm not welcome back. I'm a liability, with weak connections and weaker convictions. Unknown things, who died, and who lives, begin to pile onto old regrets lurking within sleepless nights. But when I wake, I walk forward. Mama was a healer, Papa, an avenger. Should be, a survivor. This time, I'll make sure everyone survives. Shino-sensei used to tell us to keep journals. Writing down my thoughts now helps. Wake, write, walk in cycles. Forward. Eventually, the cycle becomes a job, a scrivener and messenger service. My shop is nestled at the perimeter of a large village in the heart of fire territory. It's slow going at first, so, between client assignments, I focus on honing jutsu and storing chakra. The mornings are warmer now, with rays of dusty sun filtering through the cracks in my walls. Today, street sounds seep inside and break my meditation. Wives off to the market, barking street dogs, farmers clinking their scythes and plows, children running off to their morning chores. The daring kids hammer the sides of the large ewer that I keep outdoors to catch rain. The jug issues a high, tinny sound, empty. If there are no customers, I'll go draw water. Sis, 4 eyes. These customers are not the paying type. I step outside for some light morning exercise, catching neighborhood monkeys. My first catch is a handful of big-eared, grubby urchin, who squawks and wriggles something fierce. Jeroff. Oi, Takashi. I'm careful not to let the boy tear his thin shirt. You have chores to get to, don't you? What's the point? He grumbles. I don't want to be a farmer. At this blasphemy, Takashi's friends, a gangly beansprout and a twitchy fox, gasp in unison. Your cute new baby sister's depending on you to eat, I say, hiding my tugging smile. Have you finally named her? Yeah, Sayuri, what are the odds? I smile ruefully, but she ain't cute. Takashi makes a slovenly face. She eats all the food in the house and then poops it out. Mine vomits, beansprout supplies, as if this were a contest. Well, you don't have to grow up to be a farmer. I swipe the excess dirt from Takashi's cheek, before he can stop me. But know this. I don't associate with lazy bums. The boys protest vehemently at this, but I shoo them onward, watching from my hut as they march away, exchanging heated whispers. They can't see me now, so I let a smile stretch across my face. What a weirdo. Of course we have to be farmers. Yeah, she's weird, but that's what's fun about sis. Hey, think I can be a courier? She could teach me. Dad says to never trust girls who can read. They're bad luck. Bad luck indeed? Unluckily, I do more than read, I write and deliver. My business, after a month, has a trickle of villagers venturing in with small requests, deliver a trinket, or immortalize amateur love poems. I know Takashi from having delivered news of his family's new baby to extended relatives, for a pittance fee. Pittance fees are all folks in my neighborhood can afford, though they never let me do it pro bono. At the end of the day, my little business scrimps enough to continue into the next week. But business is more than a way to survive. It's a way to get what I want, information and connections. On the Otsutsuki and otherwise. Mid-morning, I return from drawing water from the murky village well. I'm down to pences and lint for money, so I'll need to hunt for dinner. Or it's more watery gruel today. A bear is waiting for me outside the entrance to my shack. He's hunched and broad, wrapped in tawny beast furs, face hooded. And silent. I'm wary of customers who are wary of me. I walk inside without making eye contact. At my wobbly table, I tap my fingers and play a guessing game while waiting. What does he want? Congratulations to a niece's marriage? A business accounting letter? At long last, as the sun casts the streets outside in dusty caramel, the man ambles in. Somber eyes survey the cool but barren interior of my hut, a thin blanket in the corner, a battered pot, a water jug, and little else by way of living amenities. I admit, it's not convincing, as the home of a learned scribe. Where's your father? I'm an orphan. Yet you can write letters? Learn from the temple monks, I lie crisply. You just need something written? I deliver too. His thin lips press and release. What's your name? Kagami. Meaning mirror. It's what people here first called me, when they saw my glasses. Somehow, it's appropriate for someone who is between worlds, without clan empty. I pause and reassess my client. Customers who ask for names are difficult. And you are? Just a messenger. His face shudders like a window. I need you to write a message, and deliver it quickly. Where to? Instead of an answer, the wrap of bare fur bristles, and from it, a rusted dagger emerges, beelining toward my hand. The tines sink into my table with a loud thunk. Acceptable reflexes, the man murmurs, as if he didn't almost give me tetanus and skewer my table in one fell swoop. How quickly can you get this message to Weno Castle? Tomorrow morning. I frown as I prod my abused furniture. Another issue exists besides the client's bent for defacing private property. Anyone serious about relaying messages to castles can afford alternate courier services. Certain destinations all but require trumpets and streamers announcing deliveries. The castle's probably one. My client's sincerity balances against his knowledge that my shop is bare bones, and lacking in trumpets, metaphorical or otherwise. You sure you want to use me? We'll see, he says. Show me you can write proper characters. A small collection of old recycled paper dries in the corner of the hut. I take one and smooth out the creases. My brush traces characters with water, sumie, as a cost-efficient demonstration. I decide to take a risk. If he's so confident about his message's importance, such that he thinks a commoner could deliver it to the daimyo, then I'm going to test his mettle. How? Hike my prices. Outrageously. Words bloom under my brush. For the service I shall render, this esteemed customer owes 300 ryo, paid up front. It's a small fortune around more than these parts. But he doesn't even blink. Deal. Deal, I return, vaguely impressed. Another flash of metal emerges from his cloak, and my hands casually dodge under the table. But it's not a dagger this time. Nor is it my payment. Rather, it's a small rounded coin, with no discernible emblem on either side. If there's trouble, show the daimyo this. That still requires me to meet the daimyo, I think. Nevertheless, I roll the coin in my palm. The smooth circle doesn't seem to hold any gimmicks. Your token? Something like that. My curiosity's piqued. What makes you so sure I can even get it to the daimyo? Try. And he slides out several ingots of pure silver, to seal our transaction. Weno Castle is something straight out of a storybook. Its lofty, vaulted pagodas can be seen jutting into the blue skies for miles, stately and striking, even from a distance. The landmark is useful for navigation while I'm traveling out of town. Yet, for all the times I've passed by, I've never seen the castle up close. After all, it's no place for plebes. I jog past the barren shanty towns, and hit the nicer part of the village. Thatched huts make way for winding stretches of shingled white mortar, like a tufted serpentine dragon, almost daunting in beauty and grandeur. Looking up at the ever taller castle, I can't help but question the wisdom of my client. The feudal system may be lax on regulations, but it's strict on caste rules. There's no incentive for anyone inside these compounds, nor in that castle, to grant me an audience. Well, I suppose I'll worry first about opening the castle gates. Weno Castle lies beyond a murky blue moat featuring a lone arch bridge. On the other side, massive double doors look to weigh 2 tons each. Wedging my letter underneath the door is an option. But I can't, in good faith, just abandon the letter here, where it'll be intercepted, or simply lost in the black hole that is bureaucracy, a fact the Rokudaime lived and thrived by. So I try knocking. Once. Twice. Thrice. I have an important letter, I shout, preparing my knuckles for another feudal round. 4 times. 5. Scram, or we'll spear you. How delightful. There's bandits in town conspiring to kill our lord, I shout. Let me in and I'll describe them to you. Nothing. 6 times. Drastic measures, now. I'm pregnant with your lord's love child. My best despairing voice is peppered with inconsolable sobbing. I spice it up with a tortured wail or two. Oh, woe is me! Kind passerby, you there? And you! Please hear my tale. Listen, Evron. The doors crack a sliver. A bulbous nose juts out, followed by beady, darting eyes. Hurry up. I don't need people coming and gossiping. If the gatekeeper finds me embarrassing enough to let in, then my woeful soul shan't complain, alack. I duck through the door, while eyeing my usher. He's a stout man with a shrewish face, wrapped in warm layers in today's cool morning air. A simple envy for his wardrobe creeps up, but is immediately dispelled when I get my first glance at the castle gardens. I've discovered Wonderland. Kaleidoscopes of color and texture dazzle from every angle. My eyes drink in the gardens as I follow the gatekeeper along a cobbled path toward the main castle. They say certain things in life are priceless, but even the sky looks brighter, bluer. Like the wealthy can afford a better patch of the heavens. Trees bud pink and pearly blossoms are framed by spring green tendrils and neat clipped hedges. All this finery reflects in dappled blue ponds abundant with dancing red and orange koi. I nearly miss our stop in front of a small hut resembling a walled pavilion. Give me your letter. His nose droops miserably, while his hand executes a grabby motion. Right, I chuckle, then dig into my sash. People use the bandit excuse a lot, huh? Like you wouldn't believe. He looks even more morose than before, clutching my letter. But you're the first who's had the gall to declare pregnancy. All I wanted was to cultivate my flowers, but no, the last guy quit because of all this, and now I have to gate duty, all because you hussies have to accost the young lord with your silly love letters. My noble job's been utterly desecrated. Love letters? I interrupt, confused. Lord Wenno is, aged, isn't he? His son. The man spits at me. Don't pretend you're not after the young lord, you hussy. Much of feudal nobility is shrouded in mystery, and I had no clue the lord even had a son. I suppose it's safer that way. Between explaining that I'm here for Wenno Sr., that I shouldn't be chased out again, and that I'm not a hussy, I spot a group of people weaving through the garden. Without notice, my gaze is redirected to the ground, body crimped at a 90-degree angle beneath the gatekeeper's surprisingly strong wrist. My lords. I glance up. The gathered gaggle of lordlings and ladies feature powdered faces, rouged cheeks, and artful piles of glossy, oiled hair. Coming from my mud-colored district, I haven't seen this in some time. They, like the garden, are incredibly colorful, but in a different way. Their vibrant hues are almost modern. The plainest one still sports a sumptuous, sky-blue haori matching the tie in his hair. Who's that, Ikyan? One asks. No one of consequence, is the wheedling reply. Just a distant relative. Nothing to trouble you with, my lords. You're holding something, Ikyan, another remarks. One of those love letters? Your relatives after the young lord too? Not a love letter, I say, and straighten before my waist cracks. It's for the daimyo. I'm a professional courier. A professional courier? This commoner girl? They shriek. Ikyan, your relative is so chic. I can write in 3 languages too, I bait, though I hardly know the waters I'm tossing this into. As the group explodes into twitters, I'm reminded of a flock of tropical birds in Kiri, after Mitsuki flung his snakes at them. Chic. They continue to cluck at each other. We must hear more. A positive sign. Mystified, I turn to Ikyan for guidance. And I admit, to watch his amusing facial tics. He doesn't disappoint, turning a marvelous and improbable shade of purple. The gatekeeper goes above and beyond my expectations, though. When I am invited for tea by the young nobles, per my plan, the old man actually tears my letter in half. Oh well. I kept a copy. Carefree teenagers, no matter the era, are masters at the art of chatter. The young aristocrats squeeze out any silence with musings on fine food, music, poetry, rumors, switching maddeningly from one topic to the next. I catch and lose their interest just as quickly. So what's really in that letter? A lady with flowered sleeves asks, as if I didn't just tell her. Perhaps an affair with a noble? You can tell me. No matter how I try to make myself interesting, my life suffers from a distinct lack of love trysts. So does my letter. Probably? My message was dictated in code. I'll get it to the daimyo and hope he deciphers what he needs. Not just anyone can get a message to Lord Wenno, says a lordling. You have to be invited into his presence. Even if the message is important? At this, everyone pauses. I laugh weakly. I know what they're thinking. Why'd someone pick you to deliver it then? A gracious soul pipes in. I suppose you could invite the daimyo to a hanami. What's that? Another sighs behind her sleeve. Oh, little pauper. It's a party to view the cherry blossoms. If you host one chic enough, the daimyo himself comes. It's best done in the courtyard, with sake and musicians on reserve. Well, are any of you hosting the daimyo soon? I ask stolidly. Can I come? There's an eruption of awkward, high-pitched laughter. No one replies, though. I know I've pushed my bounds too far. After tea, the group abandons me in favor of another walk around the expansive gardens. I'm still appreciative, as my stomach is filled with tiny luxurious cakes. But this is the end of my Cinderella moment. Shortly, a servant will come pick me up, and I shall be elegantly booted out of upper society. That is, if I stay put and wait for my pumpkin carriage to arrive. Which I don't. No one stops me in my first 15 minutes wandering the compound. However, the second 15 minutes make me realize the security infrastructure is actually excellent. Uniformed tatami panels hide even the faintest lead. There are few chatty staff, or other clues as to the daimyo's quarters. Finally, I get my man, drifting up the hall in voluminous robes, the young lord's Go teacher. His attendant has no clue how much he's discussing their lesson plan. The ancient game of Go, beyond amusement purposes, is taught to nobles as way to hone skill in strategy, statesmanship, and war. I once played at a charity tournament. Naruto came too, mostly to wreak havoc. I discovered I'm pretty strategic. I put that skill to use now, by strategically kidnapping 2 hapless court officials and stuffing them in a water closet, under mild genjutsu. My bunchin and I trace the steps to where the teaching game with the young lord will ensue. The Ma no Yugen, Room of Mystery, is tailored for the game of Go. It's easy to identify, as it bears all the traditional hallmarks that continued into my era. Some pebbles. Bigger rocks. A few sprigs of bamboo. And, to top it all off, a stuffy-looking nerd, sitting size by the Go board. Boruto's description, not mine. Everything is there, except the stuffy-looking nerd. The young lord is a mere child, maybe 6 years old, and he sits like a fidgety pretzel. No wonder Ikyan called me a hussy. It's a wonder he let me in at all. Feeling sorry, I unleash all of my charity Go skill to what is probably the most subpar lesson the Weno heir will ever get. At the end of the game, we've talked quite a bit about everything but